85%. Chapter 481 China's Agriculture. Many students who came to the College of Agriculture knew him and greeted him. As long as it is not a formal occasion, everyone in China does not have to pay a full courtesy to Huakai. China is governed by law. Why the patriarch has time to come to me today, but is there something important? Xu Hua was angry. After becoming a farmer, he is now on the 6th floor of the foundation building. There are few people in China that have a faster cultivation speed. It is because Xu Hua has a pure heart for practice than anyone else. Entering the foundation building realm, everyone knows that practice is not just cultivation, but at the same time is ascension owned to deepen the understanding of the world. Huakai has now put more energy on the rules of the world and has a strong sense of the world. He who has the system is poor. It is the understanding of the world. Last year's grain report, I saw that 7.27 million mu of grain was planted in 7 regions of China, and the total grain output reached 30.45 million shi. Several more wine-making workshops will be built at the foot of the eastern mountain of Huacheng this year. The stone is 120 bone coins. Hua Kai looked at Xu Hua and said, "Does the owner think that there is too much grain? We have 12 million shi of grain every year in China. The extra grain is sent to the grasslands, Yan, Qi, and Qin, and more than half of the Central Plains countries they all eat the food of our country, and the quality is good." Xu Hua said with a smile. How can there be too much grain? New fields are being reclaimed in many places this year. As time goes by, China has more and more grain. If every stone of wheat is less than 120 bone coins, the farm's profit will be very small. Hua Kai said. Patriarch, do you hope that China's farmland will continue to increase like this? I remember that the patron has collected more than 30 million shi of grain in the past few years. Why do we grow so much grain? Xu Hua asked. Food is the foundation of the people's survival. I have treasures for storing food. It doesn't hurt to store more food. Maintaining the price of China's food and making the people profitable will make China's grain industry more prosperous. In the future, whether it is food quality or output, it will get better and better. Many countries will choose to buy food from us in the face of our low price and high quality food, because it is cost effective. But if our food industry can continue to develop, the whole world is eating the food produced in our country, who can do without us? Hua Kai never talks to Xu Hua in a roundabout way. People engaged in scientific research like to listen straight to the point. Therefore, the owner of the house, you spend more than 100,000 caddies every year to buy thousands of stone grains, so that all people can see the profits of farming, so that more countries can rely on us, just like all tribes in the grassland, they must please us. Let their wool sell at a good price. Xu Hua nodded and said, Huakai has only realized his vision in many layouts until now. The more people rely on you, the stronger and safer you will be. It's not all. Before, everyone didn't eat anything. Now that there is more food, everyone can think about doing more things with food. Cattle and sheep eating more food can also increase the growth rate. Wheat can be made with more things. To become a new type of food, these all need sufficient food. Hua Kai is talking about food, but this principle can be used in many places. When a certain amount of something causes a qualitative change, its function and meaning will also change. By the way, Patriarch, will this year's Anshan flour expand? The 6,200 Anshan flour harvested last year only purchased 280 plants, and the rest will be given to the Patriarch. Xu Hua said. Expand it to 10,000 plants per year. More storage of salming flour will not do us any harm. Zhongling Shu, you will continue to increase the number of plants. Zhonglingdan will never give up too much at any time. Hua Kai said. After talking about Huakai and Xu Hua wandering in the Lingtian has now been divided into multiple areas. Except that most of the space is planted with spiritual rice, the types of elixir planted in other areas are different. Huakai now has hundreds of areas. A common elixir can be cultivated back from its own spiritual field. Hua Kai and Xu Hua listened to a lesson. Most of the teachers here were Xu Hua's students. Most of them took the students to teach in the experimental field. Ling Shu, listening to these lessons requires strong memory and comprehension, as well as a high level of comprehension. In the evening family secret realm space meeting, after finishing the assignment of this year, Huakai let the region pay attention to characteristic development, advantage development, reduction of absolute poverty, and promotion of regional employment. This is to continue economic prosperity and development. Everyone knows Hua Kai's thoughts, and that this year's peace in the Central Plains is still the theme. After Jing Kei's assassination of Qin's strength is no longer as good as before. Now everyone's anti-Qin awareness has increased, and it has become more difficult for him to occupy other countries. China needs a lot of time to restore domestic power. With the goal set, Hua Kai left Huacheng on horseback the next day and headed to Shacheng. He saw roads everywhere on the ground along the way. Every 10 miles he would encounter a post station, which was run by a Qi training postmaster. Led a team of 10 people to protect the safety of an area. 5 to 10 stations set up a pavilion. The pavilion leader leads 30 people, and the cultivation base is above the 9th level of the Qi training realm. Generally, they can solve the savage beasts or barren beasts below the high-level brutal beasts, and there must be a fort in the 10 to 20 pavilions. The owner of the fort is the Shantian realm, leading 100 people to maintain the safety of the land of Bailey. The fort is under the management of the city is under the management of the region, and Huacheng manages the 12 regions of China. This is the current level of regional officials in China. He has come to this point now. As long as the pavilions and stations can stand firm in the winter, K can try to promote the construction of villages and towns and eliminate the wild beasts step by step. Then China will be able to grow more food and feed more people. All the foundations are laid, and as long as the demonic beasts are wiped out little by little, the people of the Central Plains will no longer be confined to the cities, and the human race will enter a period of rapid prosperity. By the time Shacheng Wamo has everything ready, Wamo is now on the 7th floor of the foundation building. It is one of the strongest in China except for Huakai. The entire Shacheng has become more prosperous under the management of Wamo in recent years. With the construction of cross-river rivers, the pressure on Shacheng to be attacked by wild beasts every year is getting less and less, and more than a dozen small towns have even appeared outside the city. This is what Huakai is most willing to see. As the most populous city in China, Shacheng is also the most populous city in the world. Nearly 800,000 people can be counted as a super city in this world. Since the beginning of its establishment, Huakai has defined Shacheng as multi-element development. Huacheng allows any voice of thought, but it must not be chaotic. If you have an idea, you can go to the House of Representatives, look for people to support yourself as a member of parliament. As long as the people recognize you more, you can make an own voice here. Entering the inner city of Shacheng, Huakai was welcomed into the palace by his 2 concubines. In the past few years, Huakai married 10 more princesses. Everyone rushed to stay in Shacheng because Huakai had to stay in Shacheng for more than half a year every year. The concubine who was not pregnant was assigned to the palace of Shacheng. In the evening, Huakai enters the family secret realm space. Recently, he has less and less time to enter the family secret realm space. The main reason is that he is too busy and has no time. The development of China is slowly advancing under the will of his own. If you don't care about the country's development, many of the established systems will be ignored by everyone, and slowly the entire country's system will appear to be full of loopholes. Coming to the crystal pillar, Hua Kai checked the family's attributes. Hua family. Second rank family. Prosperity. 319,908. Combat power. 461,830. Agriculture. 719,422. Animal husbandry. 258,667. Commercial. 328,761. Culture. 491,821. Comprehensive strength. 2,580,409. Ally. Affiliated forces. Hostile forces. Funding. 1421 purple gold coins, 64,298 taels of gold, 32 taels of silver. Luck value. 1,338,226. Portable space. 20 cubic meters. The comprehensive strength of Wahia has skyrocketed, especially the agricultural value and cultural value, which have increased the most in recent years. Huakai has used a part of Huacheng Vault's gold income system to ensure safety. At the same time, what banks suddenly need large shares of funds, Huakai also being able to deliver it in person. China has been able to have such a prosperous economy in recent years, mostly because of banks and Chinese currency. Nowadays, the value of family luck increases by about 300,000 every day, and Huakai spends most of his luck in weapon forging and armor forging. Nowadays, there are more than 500,000 pieces of golden silk soft armor in China, and all legionnaires and members of the reserve group already have them. Some golden silk soft armor has spread to the market, and a piece of 2,000 gold can be used as hard currency. In addition to the high-level heavy armor supplemented by the 7 major legions in the past few years, and the various leather armors and armors made by demonic beasts, the soldiers of China have all completed their outfits. Entering the conference hall from the crystal column space, Wakai saw Shui Chen and Hua Mo discussing something. There are now 5 members of the Hua family's 10 young scholars who have succeeded in foundation building. They are all loyal to the core strength of China. They saw Wakai standing up. No need to be polite. What are you two talking about? Wakai asked. Wang Shang, it's the newly opened newspaper in Weisong. A group of Confucian scholars came to Jixia Academy last winter. One of them is a giant and there are more than 10. They are all in 100 colleges. They applied for the opening a few days ago. Our own Confucian newspaper. The 2 of us are discussing how to do this. Shui Chen said. Everyone is a person who has read the classics of 100 schools of thoughts, knowing that all the schools of thought have the words to govern the world. Many of these words are in conflict with the Chinese system. If Confucianism is allowed to speak casually in the newspaper, then the entire Xiaocheng will be different. This kind of thinking will inevitably come up and have an impact on the rule of China. What are you afraid of? As the first practitioners of human thought, it is inevitable to have the own voice. We have been constantly improving the own system. The life level of the people in China has been improving in recent years. No school of thought can be in China. The country replaces the Chinese family. The state of Qin vigorously restricted the spread of ideas from 100 schools of thought, and even slaughtered 100 scholars. However, the state of Qin was also the most unstable country in the world. If it weren't for Qin Zheng, the country would have torn apart. Since Confucianism wanted to open newspapers in Xiaocheng, the Government Affairs Council took out a newspaper management method and formed rules to manage all newspapers. In the early stage of the establishment of China, the new system needs to be guided by the government, and to a certain extent, it will inevitably require non-governmental forces to supplement it. The State Council needs to arrange for supervisors and reviewers to review all newspapers. As long as they are not anti-human, anti-national, vulgar, violent, etc., they can speak out in Xiaocheng. The State Council needs to do a good job in guiding the domestic ideological trend. Quote. 85%. Chapter 482. The Horn of War. The opening of the Xiaocheng Ruin newspaper office was like throwing a stone into the entire academic world, which caused many schools of thought to move. After the Central Plains countries launched a strong restriction and suppression of hundreds of schools, many schools of thought have not dared to speak easily. The giants of the schools and everyone can only exchange academics privately, and the Central Plains countries do not want these scholars to continue to make trouble. The monarchs are also doing their best to reduce their dependence on the 100 schools. King power is the most basic system in everyone's consciousness. Let the 100 schools of thought govern the country, and no country can truly become strong. After the establishment of the Confucian newspaper, the Mo family followed suit. Soon more than a dozen newspapers appeared in Xiaocheng, and there were hundreds of people behind each newspaper. The entire 100 schools were the voice of discussion every day, but now the scholars' hundreds of schools have not yet dared to speak out against China's system. Everyone is a little bit testing the bottom line of the government's review. For these exchanges of ideas, Huakai ignored them. The more the arguments become clearer, it is impossible for 100 schools to control the absolute right to speak in China even if they are active. These different ideas continue to challenge China's system and can only speed up public debate. The construction of 3-tiered members of the ministry has accelerated the improvement of the entire Chinese system. The major legions of China have begun the busiest time of the year again. They cleaned up all the beasts in all regions of the country to welcome the vigorous development of China's domestic commercial trade in another year. Huakai and Wamo continued to enter the Dongling Mountains to transform the mountains, turning the mountains into plains a little bit. There are only tens of thousands of wastelanders near the Dongling Mountains. This is a profession that has only emerged in China in recent years. Huakai burned the newly renovated mountains and forests with fire. Occasionally some special spirit trees and even elixir were left on the ground, and most of them were all kinds of strange stones. These pioneers followed the fire and only needed one strange stone a year. I made a fortune. Many places in the Dongling Mountains are unexplored. There are still a lot of strange stones. People with unique vision have found more than a dozen strange stones here a year. This makes the civilians who want to get rich in the whole country of China. I want to try my luck. In one day, Wamo included tens of thousands of acres of mountain and forest terrain. The entire mountain and river map now encompasses the entire southwestern region of China, accounting for more than half of the total area of China. If one day mountain and river map can encompass the entire Central Plains go in, and then the entire East China Shenzhou will all become the territories of the human race. Huakai doesn't know how much land can be included in the mountain and river map. Wamo mental energy went back to Shacheng to rest. Now Huakai has not used much of the elixir to restore mental energy. He can only rely on Wamo to recover himself. He picked up the mountain river map and started to transform the terrain. By the way, all the forests that have been transformed have been burnt down. On May 1st, Huakai came back from the Dongling Mountains and planned to take a 2-day rest. Wamo took the mountain and river map to record the terrain again. A heavenly horse from the north fell into the palace in the inner city of Shacheng. Everyone knows that this is Tianlong horse. The Chinese family has been working hard to cultivate high-quality horses for so many years. The number of horses has exceeded 300 horses. The 6th order horse has reached 23 horses, but heavenly horse is gone except for the Tianlong horse. Huakai also felt the arrival of Uncle Wu. He saw that Uncle Wu fell directly into his study without notifying Gong Wei, and knew that something major must have happened. My lord, there is news from the intelligence personnel of the state of Lu that the Qin state's 200,000 sharp soldiers attacked the Song state, and the Song state's Shangzhou city was destroyed on the 7th. The Song state has ordered the whole country to surrender to Qin, and the Qin state has confiscated the Song state's 60,000 after the soldiers. They have already attacked Chengguo, Kaiguo and other places, and I believe they will reach the border of Lu state soon. Hua Zichen said when he saw Huakai. Huakai couldn't help thinking about it when he heard it. This Qin state did not care that his Hanjiang county was still in the hands of Chu state, and insisted on taking down the entire Central Plains. This was declaring his supremacy to the Central Plains. The countries in the Central Plains have only recovered a little vitality in the past few years, and Xinjiang can't wait to start the grand cause of own unification. When he put down Chu state, he obviously did not regard Chu as his own opponent. From here, Huakai could feel that Xinjiang might have regarded China as himself. The biggest opponent. China has a relatively large influence in the central part of the Central Plains. Many families of Zheng that have been occupied by Qin have trade relations with China. Everyone compares Qin's law with China. The people's anti-Qin heart is even stronger. This makes Qin a lot. Had to unify the pace as soon as possible. But in this way, Qin will soon border Lu and Qi, and the real decisive battle will soon come. Qin will face the siege of many powerful countries all at once, and Xinjiang has the confidence to face so many directly. The siege of a powerful country. Qin is warlike, and people all over the world have hated it for a long time. Song, Kai, Cao, Chen and other countries are definitely not the opponents of Qin, and now it can only be seen whether Lu can resist Qin's footsteps. When Lu is weak, all the families of Qi will inevitably surrender to Qin, and there will be 3 kingdoms of Qin, Chu, Yan, and China. King Yan has not been seen for 4 years, and only Chu and China are left to resist Qin, so Lu is not to be lost. Huakai frowned and said. The King Lu has failed to achieve breakthrough gold core in recent years. Xinjiang has killed hundreds of demonic beasts. The karma in his body must have been eliminated. If Xinjiang shots Lu Guo, there is little chance that he can hold it. Hua Zichen frowned. Azure Dragon Legion prepare. If King Lu asks for help, you take the Azure Dragon Legion to the kingdom of Lu. The best way to deal with Qin Gorui soldiers and Blood Dragon guards is the Azure Dragon Legion. Most of them evade in the family secret realm space, and the Legion combat gold core is not very useful. Huakai said. Hua Zichen nodded. As Hua Zichen's father-in-law, Wang Lu, this time the Hua family sent Hua Zichen to go. China is unwilling to fight with any country, and they have never sent troops to any country. Huakai directly sent China's strongest army to make Qin make some changes. If it's just a tough force to conquer and hurt, it was the entire human race, and what Qin got was just a piece of land. The most important thing for a country is not just land. The Azure Dragon Legion quickly got ready, and before Lu Guo asked for help, they had already begun to gather outside Shacheng. In order to support the country of Lu this time, China only brought 10,000 official members, and 2 10,000 reserve regiments were left in the country. These 10,000 Azure Dragon members can be said to be China's strongest combat force. With a unified strength above the Qi training realm, any Shantian realm will only be crushed by the Azure Dragon Legion. Even if they encounter the foundation building realm, they have the power to deal with. All 10,000 soldiers rode BMWs. Among the 1,000 people in the first group, half of the Shantian people were in the first group. The cavalrymen of the second and third groups were all wearing heavy armor and used for attacking and charging. Hua Zichen knew the significance of the Azure Dragon Corps going abroad to fight is very important, and he was also very careful, and discussed with the captains various ways to deal with the situation, including if he was beheaded by Qin Zheng after the management and command of the Azure Dragon Corps, it will be May. On the 9th, King Lu sent an envoy to Shacheng. The strength of Lu State in the past few years has been rapid. He has trained 50,000 elites with strengths above Kaiyuan realm, and he is not bad in the face of Qin Gorui soldiers. In addition, the number of Lu kingdom above the Shantian level has increased rapidly in recent years, and many Lu families have made a decisive battle against Qin. This is mainly due to the fact that King Lu has been propagating in the country in recent years. Hua Zichen set off with his troops and left Shacheng all the way south. On the road, he encountered all the caravans and the city. Seeing such a horseman cavalry appeared, he couldn't help but look at him. The visual shock of 10,000 BMWs together is beyond ordinary people's imagination. To arrive. The Azure Dragon Corps had already arrived outside Huahiapu in Guangxian County in the afternoon. Hua Ziji led thousands of families to arrange a place for them outside Huahiapu, and arranged a sumptuous dinner for all the soldiers. The soldiers were full of food and drink. The horses also replenished their fine ingredients. The Azure Dragon Corps continued to travel south in the early morning. In the afternoon, they had arrived at Tangfu City on the border of the state of Lu. The son of Lu was already waiting outside Tangfu City in person. I have seen the son. Hua Zichen saw the son of Lu State saluting. Brother-in-law and I are also polite. My father asked me to wait for you in Tangfu City. I don't want you to come from China as soon as I came today. This way is more than 3,000 miles away. You will arrive in 2 days with the Azure Dragon Corps, but this marching speed is no one can compare to the Azure Dragon Legion. The Prince Lu looked at the mighty look of the Azure Dragon Legion behind Hua Zichen, and he couldn't help but envy. The state of Lu spent so many years of national strength to build a cavalry of 50,000 people, but compared with the Azure Dragon Legion, the cavalry is not only a strong cavalry but also good cavalry. The subtle coordinated movements between the Azure Dragon legions, and the spirit of all the legions, are not comparable to anyone. The King of China got the news of King Lu's call for help, so he immediately asked me to bring the Azure Dragon army to support him. Where is the Qin Jun now? Has the state of Lu been at war with him? Hua Zichen asked about the war first. The intelligence sent this morning shows that the entire territory of Song Kingdom has been captured by Qin soldiers. The capital of Chen Kingdom was broken after only 2 days. The citizens of Kai and Cao have begun to flee eastward with all their strength, and Lu is full of refugees. The State Bank of China has organized a carriage to send these refugees to China, and now the Qin army should be approaching Jia's father city. Lu Guozi said. Jiafu City is the border city between Lu Kingdom and Song Kingdom. Lu Kingdom has also built a lot of fortifications here. As the third largest city in Lu Kingdom, Yuncheng is only 50 miles away from Jiafu City, and Lu Kingdom is more than 30 miles away. All 10,000 troops are here. All this is okay. King Lu has been strengthening Yuncheng's defenses 10 years ago. It is not easy for Qin to take Yuncheng. This time the Azure Dragon army is coming. Qin's elite will inevitably be restrained, if they want to break through. Guo Lu, this time we let Qin Guo taste the lesson of blood. Hua Zichen said confidently standing in front of Azure Dragon Legion. The entire Azure Dragon Legion is also full of confidence when they hear this. They think that the world's #1 cavalry regiment is now time to become famous. 85%. Chapter 483. King Lu lived in the small courtyard of an ordinary family in Yuncheng, which was close to the street area and was still a long way from the city lord's mansion. No one would have thought that King Lu would be in such a small courtyard. In fact, when Qin soldiers began to gather in Zheng State, King Lu had already noticed that Qin State was about to launch an offensive again. He knew that Qin's biggest trump card was Qin Zheng, so he prepared safety measures early. As long as he could continue to resist the Qin army, with Lu's current strength, it would be no problem to hold on for 1 or 2 years. Moreover, he asked Qi, China, and Yan for help as soon as the Song State was broken. These 3 countries must know the severity of the breach of Lu. In any case, they have to give Lu and Qin. The country has the confidence to continue the confrontation, so it is necessary to send support. In this way, as long as the state of Qin can hold on to this winter, After Qin has added a large amount of land, the defensive pressure will inevitably increase, and the pressure on the state of Lu will continue to decrease every time he persists for a period of time. If the state of Lu can resist Qin's military front, it must be in the first rank of big countries. In the unlikely event that Qin had problems in its rule and Lu could launch a counterattack westward and annex several countries in the Central Plains, then it would be hopeful to become the hegemon of the world. King Lu was just wearing ordinary silk clothes. At this time, an old man wearing a housekeeper's uniform walked in quietly. King Lu turned his head and looked at him, motioning for him to speak directly. "My lord, Qin's 60,000 sharp soldiers have arrived under Jiafu City. In the morning, they launched a full-scale attack on Jiafu City. They fought for 3 hours to no avail. In the end they damaged more than 4,000 sharp soldiers and retreated. Our army damaged more than 1,000 troops. People," the old man whispered to King Lu. "The Qin state's sharp soldiers are really good. We have made enough preparations. The 6,000 defenders of Jiafu City are the most highly trained soldiers of the widows, and even with the advantage of the wall, they can lose more than 1,000 people. Will the news for the help of the three kingdoms be sent?" "What is the reaction of all three?" Wang Lu asked in a deep voice. He knows that Lu now seems to have more than 400,000 troops, but the real fighting force is 50,000 elite and 30,000 cavalry. Qin's 200,000 sharp soldiers have arrived, but he is unable to resist all the offensives of the lower Qin. If Yuncheng is if it breaks, Lu Guo will inevitably have many families who surrender to Qin state, and Lu state is likely to collapse all at once. China has sent Wu Yi to lead the main force of the 10,000 Azure Dragon Army to Tangfu City. The families of the Qi state are still discussing countermeasures with the Qi family. Only Yan Guo hasn't reacted yet, and Yan Wang hasn't been there for many years. This Yan Guo is afraid of being unreliable, the old man said to King Lu. So that the king's consort has arrived, and the king of China has sent the Azure Dragon Army. This king thought he would send the Yushi cavalry regiment. With the support of Azure Dragon Corps, the pressure of Qin's siege has increased several times. It depends on how Wang Jian responds to the world's #1 cavalry regiment. Continue to send envoys to Qi and Yan, so that the two countries must send elite support. Wang Lu said. The old man turned around, and a plainly dressed woman walked out of the house, who was not Princess Ji Li's mother. "You still have to rely on your own people at the most dangerous time. Back then, Ji Li wanted to marry Zichen. You weren't willing to. Look at it now. Zichen helped my Lu country too much. This time he personally led the troops to Lu country to support." Queen Lu said when she went out. "Yeah, if it weren't for the Hua family, it would be impossible for the Lu country to have a population of 3 million now, with a military strength of more than 400,000 and nearly 100,000 elites. We have every opportunity to carry the Qin country's 200,000 sharp soldiers. My hard work has been all these years. These elites. Qi has not much strength. The world's monarchs know that the state of Lu is broken and only Chu, China, Yan and Qin are left to fight. They do not know the true strength of Lu, so they must support them, so that we can lose less." Wang Lu said. "A few days ago, the envoy of Chu state came, but what news is coming?" Queen Lu asked. "The state of Yu has raised its flag and returned to the state of Qin. The state of Qin has sent generals to the state of Yu to command the advance of the state of Chu. Qin's meaning is very clear. They are going to involve the state of Chu to win all the small states of the Central Plains first." King Lu said, "Even here, I also admire Qin Zheng. The state of Qin, which originally monopolized 40% of the world's power, only occupied more than a dozen small and medium-sized countries such as Song State. The army pointed out that Lu State was recruited to surrender to South Vietnam, and the world was suddenly in the hands of Qin State. Lu State seemed to be the last one in the balance. Focus. Lu Guo wins. The Central Plains is divided into 5 countries. Lu defeats the Qin State to dominate, compete for the Central Plains. All countries in the Central Plains set their sights on Lu. After Qin lost the first battle in Jiafu City, he began to wait for the follow-up troops to arrive. At the end of May, Song and Chen were all occupied by Qin soldiers. Many people wanted to flee and ignored them. People from small countries such as Cao and Kai fled eastward. Before Qin soldiers arrived, many families were ready to welcome them. Qin Gorui soldiers only took 20,000 auxiliary soldiers, and 40,000 soldiers began to travel to the Central Plains countries. By the end of June, Qin soldiers had reached the borders of Zhoulai and Shu. On June 4, Qin state 160,000 sharp soldiers, 90,000 auxiliary troops, with 320,000 soldiers from various countries came to the border of Lu state. Qin state claimed that the 1 million army was personally led by General Wang Jian. On that day, Wang Jian failed to invite a battle outside Jia's father city, and he began to order a large army to besiege the city. The war started for more than an hour, the tentative offensive was over, and the Qin army began to launch a full-scale offensive. Nearly 60,000 Qin soldiers killed the small Jia's father's city wall. Numerous rolling logs, boulders, and hot oil fell down from Jia's father's city wall, causing heavy casualties for a time. General, there is no room for glimpses of the strength of the Lu's defenders. We have lost more than 10,000 in just a while, and Qin soldiers have lost more than 1,000. Is it true that the lower army will consume a while before letting Qin soldiers attack? The person who was speaking was a foundation-building military commander of Qin state. He was also a strategist who was familiar with the art of war, and he said when he saw Qin Bing's attack blocked, "I don't want Lu state to have such a good soldier, and it won't lose the wind against the Qin soldiers. It is not so easy to win this Jiafucheng, let's withdraw the troops," Wang Jian said. Wang Jian led Qin's 200,000 sharp soldiers this time to sweep the eastern part of the Central Plains in one fell swoop. Qin dragged down Chu's forces and wanted to calm the world in one fell swoop. In Lu, he could not lose too much force. China, Yan the country is not so easy to deal with. On the second day, Qin was surrounded by 3 cuirassiers, but this time their main attacker was replaced by soldiers, leaving 20,000 corpses in the morning. As a result, the Lu state's defenders injured no more than 100 people. However, a lot of boulders and oil are consumed. On September 8, after 4 consecutive days of attacks, Jiafu City lost more than 2,000 troops, but it was the warring states period that killed 1,000 soldiers from Qin state and 60,000 troops from Qin state. There are only 3,000 elite defenders left in the city of Jiafu. Many people in the city have begun to help defend the city, and there are not many defensive materials left in the city. This time the speed of the death of Qin's descendants has begun to slow down. Climbed to the city wall of Jia's father, but was soon driven off the city wall by the defenders. Everyone who saw this knew that Jia's father's city was going to be unable to hold on any longer, and as long as they attacked the city wall a few more times to consume all their defense materials, when Qin Guo's sharp soldiers attacked with all their strength, Jia's father's city would surely be breached soon. At this time, there was a sound of horseshoes coming from the north, and Wang Jian cast his eyes to see that about 30,000 cavalry were hitting the Lu flag, and he couldn't help frowning. Qin has never attached importance to any country other than Xishang, even the quasi-first-ranked country like China. The 30,000 cavalrymen of Lu state looked not bad at all. Even if they could not fight the more than 100,000 Qin Gurui soldiers, they were more than enough to deal with Qin's auxiliary soldiers and surrenders. You must know that the role of the cavalry on the battlefield is decisive. This time he brought more than 10,000 cavalry. Only ordinary cavalry cannot be the opponent. The 30,000 cavalry rushed to the vicinity of the Qin state battlefield, and Wang Jian had to send 50,000 troops to stop him. If the opponent broke through the Qin state army formation, the loss would be great. 50,000 Qin's sharp soldiers attacked. The 30,000 cavalry came to the Qin's army 200 meters away. They rushed to shoot a round of bows and arrows and then withdrew to the right. Hundreds of Qin's sharp soldiers were injured. They shot their bows and arrows, but the range was not enough. The bows and arrows were shot at the Lu's cavalry, more than 10 meters above the ground in front of the formation. After a blow, the Lu state cavalry came to the left wing of the Qin state army. The 50,000 troops of the Qin state left wing couldn't help but start to lean towards the Chinese army when they saw it. Wang Jian saw that he could only send another 30,000 troops to stop it. The 30,000 Lu state cavalry saw this place continued to run fast outside the Qin state army, and soon came to the Qin state rear army. The latter Qin state auxiliary army hurriedly formed a chariot formation to resist. Wang Jian saw that Lu's cavalry had been looking for opportunities. He hurriedly ordered the resumption of troops. If these 30,000 cavalry were to destroy all their siege equipment, then they would have to spend another half a month here. Lu has the elite cavalry. It's hard to fight. We can't spend all our time on the small Jiafu city, Wang Jian said in a deep voice. With the support of these 30,000 elite cavalry, it is always so easy to break the Jiafu city. The people in the city will definitely resist with all their strength when seeing the reinforcements. If he can't let the Lu state quickly lose the will to resist, then this battle will be difficult to fight. Order. All the troops will return to the camp and rest. Tomorrow 10,000 Qin Gorui soldiers and 20,000 survivors will continue to besiege the city, and the Qin state army will attack Yuncheng with all its strength. Wang Jian ordered. The Lu state cavalry cannot be the same as before, thinking that Lu state will only guard the city blindly, and everything must be careful. In addition, Qin had to take the city of Lu by force, because in this way the Lu family could lose resistance and begin to surrender to Qin. At night, Wang Jian asked the scout cavalry to monitor the movements of the Lu state cavalry. He didn't want the Lu state cavalry to dismount and rest 1 kilometer away from the Qin state base camp. The cavalry who can sleep with the horses at night must be elite. The strength of the Kaiyuan state is the lowest standard. The important thing is that there will be no problems with their cooperation with the horses. It is really rare for the Lu state to quietly build such a cavalry team. The funds spent to build such an elite cavalry are much larger than the 100,000 Qin state's sharp soldiers. How did their funds come from, and how did they train them? 85%. Chapter 484. On June 12, the 450,000 army of Qin state came outside Yuncheng of Lu state. Wang Jian saw the moat that was more than 12 meters high in front of him and 4 meters wide in front of him, and he began to have a bad feeling. Yuncheng is the only way to enter the hinterland of the Lu state, but I don't know how many lives will be needed to conquer the city. Wang Jian asked the army to camp outside Yuncheng, repair the siege equipment, and protect the camp. In the next battle, he plans to try to win it in one fell swoop. Yuncheng, even if he paid a strong price. And Yuncheng's preparations for defending the city were much better than Wang Jian had imagined. They had long anticipated the possible force of Qin's attack on Lu. This time it was similar to their imagination. The general of Lu was only an early-stage cultivation of the foundation building. Base, he stood on the wall without any fear, watching the Qin army camp under the wall. A total of 147,000 Qin's sharp soldiers, of which 40,000 should be Qin's most elite veterans, the lowest cultivation base aerodynamics, our cavalry force attack losses will inevitably be very large. The remaining more than 100,000 Qin Gorui soldiers were stationed on both sides of the gate of the big camp, which showed that Qin state did not believe in these descendants. These descendants did not have a strong will to fight. The chance of victory lies with these descendants. The general of the state of Lu was the Taiwei Zheng. After the state of Zheng was destroyed, he fled into the state of Lu and vowed to defeat the state of Qin and take King Zheng back from Shenyang. King Lu felt his loyalty and was willing to treat him as a general, so that the opponent stayed in Lu for the time being. The general of Lu state clearly saw everything in the Qin state camp on the wall. He made people pay attention to the movements of these 40,000 Qin veterans. For Lu state, only these 40,000 people were the most difficult to deal with. Qin state the other 100,000 sharp soldiers are much worse than Lu's 50,000 elites, and they occupy favorable terrain for defense, and Lu is not afraid. Nothing happened all night, and the next day Wang Jian sent people to shout outside Yuncheng, and sent a team of 1,000 veterans to shout outside the city. General Lu knew that the Qin army could not be allowed to be so arrogant. Yuncheng's armaments and garrison had exceeded 260,000, occupying more than half of Lu's forces. As long as the morale of Qin was in the country, he would not be able to capture Yuncheng. What needs to be done is to keep the morale of the entire Yuncheng undiminished, even if it is not possible to win and the opponent can be anxious enough. Yuncheng also dispatched 1,000 infantrymen out of the city to fight. These 1,000 men are also the strongest troops in the Lu state, and their lowest combat power is above the late-stage aerodynamics. On average, their realm is a little higher than the Qin state veterans. But General Lu had no confidence on his face. The drums of war on Yuncheng sounded, and thousands of Lu Guo's elites marched towards Qin Guo's soldiers. And the 1,000 Qin Gorui soldiers were close together. They were not fast, but their pace was very neat. When the two sides were fighting together, the drums of the two sides rang through the entire battlefield. The front row of the Qin Gorui soldiers is the same as the Lu state elites. They are all shield soldiers, they all lifted their large shields to hit the other side. Qin Gorui soldiers are obviously experienced in this aspect, and they are much better than the Lu infantry if they do not fight. Even though realm is not as good as the other party, it has retreated Lu Guo's elite killing steadily. The soldiers of the Lu kingdom seemed to have anticipated this a long time ago. They sent bows and arrows to the Qin state's battle array while dispersing them into 10 teams. This meant that they were about to fight separately with the Qin soldiers. The Qin soldiers were too strong in group combat. When Qin Gorui soldiers saw the opponent disperse, the archer in the center of the battlefield shot a bow and arrow, which did not cause much damage to the opponent. On the contrary, the accuracy and power of the Lu soldiers' bows and arrows were much greater than that of Qin Gorui soldiers. For a time, Qin seemed to have exhausted its advantages, but its losses were much greater than that of Lu. Qin Bing was forced to disperse all of them. They were confident that the cooperation between the teams was much higher than that of Lu Guo. Both sides started to attack and defend as a team of 100 people. You surrounded me as a team, I surrounded you in a team, and killed. Not open. It's just that Qin's expected advantage did not appear. Wang Jian frowned and looked at everything in front of him. Qin Gorui soldiers' damage to Lu Gorui soldiers was several times higher than that of the opponent. It is reasonable to say that Qin Gorui soldiers can fully occupy the advantage in half an hour, and it is no problem to win the opponent in an hour. But today's situation is that Qin Guo's soldiers were killed and injured more than half, and Lu Guo's elite casualties were only about 30%. The two Qin Gorui soldiers spear thrust on Lu Guo's body, and the painful jump of Lu Guo's sharp jump was nothing. The spear did not pierce his armor. Among the more than 1,000 elites in Lu state, half of them are wearing high-level inner armor. This Lu state can actually wear such inner armor to ordinary soldiers, which caused many of them to suffer serious injuries, but they didn't. He couldn't die if he was hurt to the point. 2 hours later, there were only 200 people left in Qin Guo's soldiers who were still insisting. There were more than 600 people in Lu state who surrounded these 200 people. Qin Jun did not intend to save these 200 people. He looked at them one by one. When the elite soldiers of the Lu kingdom attacked and died, there was a kind of murderous air on the battlefield. Until the last Qin soldier died, Wang Jian did not say anything. The last 400 elites of the Lu kingdom who survived returned to the city under the cheers of all the defenders in Yuncheng. Almost all of them were wounded. Half of the people are already disabled. If it weren't for the protection of golden silk soft armor, they would have lost early. The first batch of warring Qin soldiers was defeated, and the military officers of both sides knew that the problem was with the armor of the state of Lu, but ordinary soldiers could not see these. Everyone saw that the Qin soldiers lined up neatly, but the soldiers of the Lu kingdom were powerful. At the end of the Qin soldiers' death, no one retreated. At the end of the Lu army's battle, many people were carried back by their comrades. This made the Lu soldiers' morale great. Wang Jian was not in a hurry. Even if thousands of sharp soldiers died today, he never ordered support, because as long as he opened his mouth to support first, Qin's momentum would inevitably be greatly reduced, and the trouble of surrendering soldiers would be very troublesome. But all the thousands of Qin soldiers died on the battlefield, and the descendants did not dare to have the slightest suspicion. On the second day, Qin sent military commanders to call the battle, and Lu sent military commanders to respond. The two sides fought for more than 10 times. Qin state won more than defeated, but did not raise much momentum. On the third day, the state of Qin ceased to call for battle, and sent soldiers to carry the more than 10 pontoons built in the past few days, braving the arrow rain on the city walls to the Gucheng River. A large number of troops from the state of Qin died, but Wang Jian still sent troops. The army continued to climb up, and after 10 pontoon bridges were built, more than 30,000 soldiers died. Countless Qin soldiers braved the rain of arrows and carried the ladder to run towards the city wall of Yuncheng. Some Qin soldiers had already started to build catapults around the moat. Before Qin soldiers ran under the wall, the catapults had already launched an attack. General Lu saw several masters of the Shantian realm of Qin mixed in the siege army, and soon Qin soldiers broke into the 12-meter-high wall of Yuncheng, and he hurriedly arranged Shantian realm. The state of Qin was sent to the Shantian realm at the beginning, and his intention was that the general of the state of Lu also understood that the other party wanted to quickly break through Yuncheng just like he once broke the state of Zheng. As long as Yuncheng was quickly taken down, the entire state of Lu would be lost. After more than half, he said nothing would allow the opponent to attack Yuncheng. Wang Jian saw that the other party sent the Shantian realm to prevent the Qin army from attacking the city wall. He waved his hand and 30 blood dragon guards were out of battle. They quickly stepped over the floating bridge and climbed to the wall above the city wall. Lord Lu saw that the Blood Dragon Guard had attacked and knew now when it was the hardest time. He quickly ordered. No one noticed that several elders began to approach the city wall. When the Blood Dragon Guard climbed onto the city wall, suddenly several foundation building realms suddenly appeared and killed the Blood Dragon Guard by surprise. The Blood Dragon Guards are all in the Shantian realm, and their high combat power is one of the most powerful combat powers in the Qin state, and ordinary Shantian realms are not their opponents. Wang Jian did not expect that Lu would dare to send out the foundation building first. He locked a few of the foundation buildings of Lu that had already taken action, and quickly flew towards the wall with the masters of Qin's more than 25 foundation buildings, as long as he sent the other foundation buildings. If you kill the building, then Yuncheng will take half of it. Lu Guzhong had already guessed that Qin's foundation building would take action. They quickly killed 1 or 2 blood dragon guards and fled into the city without looking back, without waiting for Qin's foundation building. When he arrived at the city wall, he was already hidden in the barracks. Wang Jian approached the barracks and shot at him several bows and arrows. Hundreds of militiamen's crude weapons came to him. Wang Jian must enter the barracks to break through the blockade of these people, but killed them. These people must be karma-ridden themselves. Is it worth it? While the Qin State Foundation building was hesitating whether to enter the barracks, countless Lu national soldiers rushed to the wall. They took their weapons to kill the Qin army at all costs. Qin soldiers were killed and retreated steadily. Seeing that the Blood Dragon Guard killed the civilians for a while, it didn't have any effect, so he only looked for the masters of Lu Kingdom's aura level to kill. They killed too much karma and it was very troublesome. The two sides fought life and death on the city wall. Qin Gorui soldiers continued to climb up the city wall along the ladder. The Blood Dragon Guard stood on the wall and slowly gained the space to expand his own advantage. At this time, Wang Jian saw a cavalry team in the distance facing Yuncheng. Kill outside the city wall. This cavalry looks very well equipped, and the horses under the hips are very beautiful, especially when they are running on the road together. They can give people the illusion that they are just a horse. Wang Jian saw the big writing on the banner of the cavalry regiment. One of the Chinese characters. China, the timing is really accurate. We have firmly occupied the city wall position. At this time, it is impossible to retreat, but although your cavalry is an elite, dare to attack my Qin Gorui army. Wang Jian saw the speed from a distance, the original Wahia cavalry. He just glanced at it and ignored it. He focused on looking for the Lu Shantian realm to kill. The Lu Foundation building realm did not dare to take action. He could only use the lives of these militiamen to delay time. They only had to put the city wall just kill at the Shantian realm, and Qin will slowly gain absolute advantage. Outside the city, there were more than 300,000 troops of Qin State, and there were 100,000 Qin State soldiers guarded by it. Lu State was anxious to dispatch these 10,000 cavalry soldiers. No matter how talented they were, they could not fight against their own 300,000 troops. Hua Zichen has been hiding in the mountains and forests in the northern part of Yuncheng for nearly 10 days. The most important task of the plan given by King Lu this time was assigned to the Azure Dragon Corps. Now everything is proceeding according to their plan. Qin Foundation building Jing really has made a move into Yuncheng, so it is time for the Azure Dragon Legion to make a move. 85%. Chapter 485 Azure Dragon Legion Battle. Hua Zichen rides on the Tianlongju and hides in the cavalry charge. Hua Peng's crotch charge is at the forefront of the team. When they approached the 5-mile range of the Qin army had already seen them appear. 20,000 sharp soldiers were sent to stop. The provisional commander of the Qin army was right. As long as the 20,000 Qin Gorui soldiers were able to slow down the opponent and be surrounded by the Qin 300,000 army, the cavalry was finished, so they all felt that the cavalry that appeared suddenly was coming to harass again. It came to relieve the pressure on the city wall. The Azure Dragon Corps was getting closer and closer to the Qin State camp. When it was only 1 mile away from the 20,000 Qin State Army's defense formation, someone found that the situation was not right. Under normal circumstances, this cavalry squad must slow down, approach Qin's army and fire in a round, or get close to Qin's army and then quickly withdraw. But no matter what kind of cavalry at this time, tens of thousands of cavalry are fighting, this time there is a tendency to slow down. However, the Azure Dragon Legion was already very fast. When Wanqi charged, the Qin army realized that this cavalry was going to charge the entire Qin army of more than 300,000. The army of the Qin state hurriedly sent another 50,000 troops to stop here. At this time, the Azure Dragon Corps had rushed into the 20,000 Qin Gorui soldiers, and the entire Qin Gorui army was torn to pieces like a piece of paper. Azure Dragon Corps. The front row was heavily armored Shantian cavalry, and countless Qin soldiers rushed into Qin Guru's army and were quickly killed. At this time, Wang Jian also noticed the terrible strength of this cavalry army. The Azure Dragon army rushed through the 20,000 Qin Gorui troops in a few minutes, and continued to rush towards the distance with 50,000 Qin Gorui soldiers at an unabated speed. The Azure Dragon Corps entered the square formation of 50,000 Qin army sharp soldiers. Qin Gorui soldiers was rushed into chaos. Many Qin soldiers spear thrust on the enemy or horses. It is difficult to cause damage to these cavalry without the late-stage cultivation base. It was the speed of the Azure Dragon Legion. Many Qin Gorui soldiers were crushed by the cavalry brigade before they could react. Qin Gorui soldiers were killed and injured in the battlefield. Everyone couldn't help but look at it, and Qin Guo Rubing was completely slaughtered and fell to an absolute disadvantage. At this time, more than 20 foundation building scenes came to the Azure Dragon Legion, and Hua Zichen ordered the teams to scatter and rush. In the face of more than 300,000 enemy troops, they chose to disperse. The horror of the cavalry is mostly in the team charge. The Azure Dragon Legion instantly divided into 10,000-man teams, and the speed of Qin Guorao's army was completely dispersed, and then they began to move towards Qin Guofu. The soldiers rushed away. The generals of Qin state in charge of commanding the army couldn't help being anxious when they saw this place. The Azure Dragon Legion was terrifying. Facing the powerful Qin Gorui soldiers, it could easily break through. The auxiliary and descending troops were even less likely to be opponents of the Azure Dragon Legion. He hurriedly commanded all the troops. Moving closer together, against such a powerful Azure Dragon army, there is only one way to fill it with human lives. This is the same as Lu state dealing with the powerful Qin state foundation building. Whenever it is unable to defeat the opponent, it uses the lowest soldiers to entangle the opponent with the strongest combat power. The opponent kills too much and the karma value is high. The combat threat is also weakened. The Qin Kingdom's foundation building was separated from the Azure Dragon Legion's 10th squad. When they caught up with the Azure Dragon Legion, all the battalions had already killed the Qin's auxiliary troops and the descending army lineups. They had the lowest cultivation-based training aura. The Kaiyuan realm's proportion is very small, and more than 10,000 Azure Dragon Legionaries quickly confused the entire Qin army. The captains of the 10 teams and the team masters entangled with the Qin State Foundation building realm. They are all Shantian realm strengths plus advanced weapons, armors, and magic horses. Those foundation building realms can't take them for a time. Both sides have repeatedly the fighting accidentally injured many of Qin's auxiliary soldiers and surrenders. The Qin foundation building realm also began to become fearful. After Hua Zichen and Shui Pan attacked and seriously injured a Qin foundation building realm, they did not continue to struggle with them. He looked for the next opponent to relieve the pressure on the teams. Azure although Dragon Corps has done countless ways to deal with the foundation building environment, but the real battle began, and many people began to be seriously injured or even killed. Wang Jian watched the Azure Dragon Corps make the entire Qin army in chaos. Some of Qin's auxiliary troops and descendants had begun to chaotically, and Qin was suffering a huge loss. The Azure Dragon Corps is also bold. They saw that the Qin state camp has been in chaos, and they split the 10 brigades into 100 squadrons again. The 20-odd Qin foundation building realms could not chase more than 100 squad, but the Qin state army of the 100-man cavalry was much easier to deal with. Wang Jian saw that the Azure Dragon Corps split into 100 teams was like a loach, chasing Qin's auxiliary soldiers and descendants in the chaotic Qin army, and many cavalry teams cooperated to rush these chaotic Qin soldiers to Qin's sharp army. When they encounter the foundation building attack, they are all Shantian people who unite to let the foundation building occupy more karma. The whole cooperation is like an art. The Azure Dragon Corps has been entangled with it in the face of more than 30 times its own enemies and more than 20 foundation buildings. The Qin Kingdom's foundation building pursued and killed the Azure Dragon Legion for more than a few minutes. They were all involved in a lot of karma. The Qin's army lost more than 50,000 troops. Wang Jian watched some of the Qin soldiers who were dispersed by the Azure Dragon Legion began to attack. The city wall of Yun City moved closer, and he knew it was time to withdraw the troops. The horn of Qin's retreat sounded, and a large number of Qin soldiers began to retreat from the city wall neatly. Yuncheng had lost more than 60,000 soldiers in just a short time. If it hadn't been for the Azure Dragon army to invade Qin's great formation, they might have had it today. Fighting in the street with Qin Gorui soldiers. Hua Zichen saw a large number of Qin veterans retreating from Yuncheng. He knew that it was time to retreat. Qin veterans can be said to be the soul of Qin soldiers. Those Qin auxiliary soldiers and soldiers saw Qin soldiers slowly retreating from Yuncheng Wall. Hua Zichen took out a special golden whistle. After blowing a whistle, the Azure Dragon Legion quickly retreated north, and the Qin army knew that they could not stop the retreat of the Azure Dragon Legion. I'm going to separate soon. General Lu stood on the wall and looked at everything underneath. Today, the Azure Dragon Legion clashes with the Qin army. Let him realize what kind of soldiers can be called elite. The Qin veterans stepped onto the city wall to stabilize their positions and took advantage of the city wall a little bit. More than 10,000 elites from Lu and nearly 100,000 ordinary soldiers occupied the terrain to snipe the opponent. As a result, the opponent and the soldiers lost only 20,000 people. With a loss of nearly 70,000, Qin Gorui soldiers are well deserved as the #1 army corps in the world. The Battle of the Azure Dragon Legion can be called a kind of fighting art. When they charge, they usually use a sharp blade, and any blockade in front of them is torn and shattered like thin paper. After they dispersed, they cooperated perfectly, and the rhythm of the entire battlefield was completely controlled by them. Especially the calmness in dealing with the foundation building environment, this shocked General Lu Guo the most. Judging from the situation just now, Azure Dragon Corps lost very little. Ordinary Qin Gorui soldiers rarely caused them any harm. I think of Lu Guo here. The general's heart was shocked. What else could stop such an elite cavalry world? After the Qin army retreated, the soldiers of the Lu kingdom quickly took over the city wall. The soldiers replenished the city's defense materials. The damaged area on the city wall was quickly repaired. A gap was opened in the city gate of Yun City. Soldiers walked out of the city and quickly disturbed the battlefield. Wang Jian gathered Qin's army and slowly returned to the camp. Qin Guru's soldiers defended all the important places. Only then did he let all the generals gather the soldiers who were still in chaos. Today, thanks to the small number of Azure Dragon army, if there are 2 or 3 more with the cooperation of the Wan elite cavalry, the entire Qin army is likely to experience a defeat. Hua Zichen took the Azure Dragon Legion and stayed 5 miles away from the Qin army camp. They dismounted and began to draw the attention of the horses. The Azure Dragon Legion also began to count today's results. Today's World War I Azure Dragon Corps performed the most dazzling performance, killing more than 50,000 people in the Qin army. Not to mention, all the foundation building realms have carried a lot of karma, and you have to pay attention to it in the future. This is for Lu Guo. A great thing. Qin's army was rushed to pieces, and 300,000 people could not hold up to 10,000 cavalry. This was a great blow to the morale of Qin's army. In the future, Qin's army would have to worry about the attack of Azure Dragon Corps when it attacked Yuncheng. The national offensive was blocked, which made Wang Jian's dream of raising superior forces and annexing countries in the eastern part of the Central Plains shattered. On June 16, Qin attacked Yuncheng, the third largest city in Lu. The Qin army killed and injured more than 80,000 people, the Lu army lost 60,000 troops, and the Azure Dragon Corps lost 216 elite cavalry. The Azure Dragon Corps' majesty spread throughout the Central Plains. The name of the world's first cavalry regiment is transmitted to the East China Shenzhou. Huakai was in the family secret realm space at night. All the core members of the Hua family were sitting in the chamber waiting. More than 10 core members of the Hua family belong to the Azure Dragon Corps. The Azure Dragon Corps can be said to represent half of the Hua family's combat power. Today's victory or defeat determines the future of China. Finally, several figures flashed in the chamber hall. Hua Zichen, Shui Pan, Hua Peng and others appeared in the family space, and everyone's eyes couldn't help but turn over. Hua Zichen stepped back from the 8 treasure knight armor with an unconcealed smile on his face. The Azure Dragon Corps made its first official appearance in the Central Plains and handed over a satisfactory answer. The others also took off their helmets. Everyone knew how many people looked like they must have won. Zhuang, Hua Zan and others saw that they stepped forward to take everyone's helmets. Fifth Lord, how is the situation? Did the Azure Dragon Legion win? Zhuang asked hurriedly. The Azure Dragon Corps fought with the 360,000 troops of the Qin state and outside Yuncheng. The Qin state's Rui soldiers injured more than 20,000 people, and the Qin state's auxiliary soldiers and the descending army suffered more than 30,000 injuries. The Qin army has returned to the camp and is undergoing rectification. Our army injured 216 people, Hua Zichen said. Everyone laughed happily when they heard this. In this way, the situation in Lu is stable, and the world can still maintain relative peace. If China can develop for a few more years, the gap between the two sides will inevitably narrow. 85%. Chapter 486 Soft Power. The Azure Dragon Army defeated the Qin army by more than 300,000. This made everyone wonder whether China could have the strength to fight against Qin and whether China could expand its territory. Lianpo sent a letter a few days ago that Zhao Guo has already taken Shuo County, and now Qin Bing has transferred all the people in the northern part of Zhao State to the west of Handan County. Qin State is going to give up the entire northern part of Zhao State. There was also news from the Yu cavalry that the Qin State abandoned Shaoguan and all the people had been moved to the south of Yichu County. The Yu State asked whether to pursue the Qin army. Hua Zuan said at this time, Qin State actually abandoned Zhao State and Yichu State, and moved the people together. With 5 fingers clenched into a fist, it became easy to deal with the grassland and Lianpo's offensive, or to deal with the domestic wild beasts, but gave up the city in this way. Surely it will be quickly occupied by the desolate beast, and the desolate beast Qin will not be able to eliminate it. Qin State is like this is irresponsible to the human race, and he is bound to make the desolate beast more prosperous. Lian Po looks powerful now, but it is also a duckweed without roots. Without the family and people to follow, he does not know that governing the country can only rely on grazing for a living. Even if he gives him more than half of the country of Zhao, he cannot manage it. Now there are no more than 10 people in the foundation building of Lianpo in Shuo County. The larger the area in charge, the faster his strength will be lost. Tell Patriarch Ujimukin, give up harassing Qin. Try to eliminate the wild beasts on the grassland and buy the elixir, strange stones and wool of Dawen, Chang and Wusun. Hua Kai said so. Brother, why do we want to retreat? The strength of China can compete with Qin for more and give more pressure to Qin. Lu and Chu can also be less pressured. Why don't we take this opportunity to help Yichu regain the country, so as to occupy the northern border of Qin State and ensure the smooth flow of the entire grassland business road? Hua Mo asked. Others raised their ears when they heard that. After the Azure Dragon Corp's victory in Yuncheng, many people felt that now is the time when China is opening up and expanding its territory. Not as big as many second-ranked countries. There is no king who dislikes opening up and expanding the territory. If we want to take over Daiguo, the northern part of the Zhao state, and the northern part of the Qin state, we will not have much difficulty in China, but what should we do after the occupation? To completely occupy these areas, it is necessary for the migrants to survive in these places, otherwise it is meaningless to occupy these places. As Qin's migrating people evacuated from these areas, the number of wild beasts will inevitably be rapid. At that time, China will inevitably spend a lot of money in these places, and worry that Qin will attack and be responsible for the wild beasts around the city, and the pressure will double. Hua Kai said. Everyone nodded when they heard it, so it seems that this is not an opportunity, but will plunge China into it. This is tantamount to helping Qin State to bear the fault, right in the hands of Qin State. All countries in the world see the offensive of China. As long as China and Qin have the same intention of annexing other countries, then everyone's anti-Qin sentiment will inevitably decrease. China has become the focus of all countries, and its strength is increasingly being valued by all countries. This is for us that's not a good thing. Hua Kai continued. Then China will only rely on Azure Dragon Corp's support in Lu State to contend with Qin State. Don't you ask anything else. Qin is always pressed and beaten, when can we fight back? Yurantuya said. Everyone also looked at Hua Kai. They were confident that China's state-owned power would fight against Qin's country, so that it has been passive. China's country does not seem to be aggressive towards the Central Plains countries. Warrior must perish. China is not below Chu now, and perhaps not very different from Qin. But don't forget that Qin has Xinjiang, and Xinjiang is strong enough to change the battlefield situation. Although I am the middle stage of Gold Core, I have no chance of winning against Xinjiang. The great Shalonk in Xinjiang's hands is a high-level spirit treasure, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is the #1 divine armament in the world. Qin now occupies half of the world, and we cannot compete against it. However, we have the absolute upper hand in the competition with Qin. Qin can abandon the northern border of Zhao State and Yichu State, and put his forces into Lu State. The reason is actually because of our country. Hua Kai said that everyone is listening carefully. The rapid development of China for so many years is entirely due to the system of China and the correct leadership of Hua Kai. Many people recognize that ascension is mostly learned from Hua Kai. Whether a country is prosperous or not depends mainly on the strength of the country's owner, national combat power, national cultural influence, national economic strength, national diplomacy, and national population. Qin State was the best in the world in these 6 aspects a few years ago. However, with the rise of China in the past few years, 4 years of wild beasts and chaos, Qin has gradually been surpassed by China in many places. Hua Kai said. Everyone is serious about the meaning of it. China's economic strength has long surpassed Qin's, which makes our national strength grow much faster than Qin's. It may not be easy for Qin to maintain its current national combat power. Produced, when I enter the gold core realm late stage, or China has another gold core, China will not be afraid of Qin in terms of the power of the monarch. So the time is on our side, and it is Qin who should be anxious. This time the Azure Dragon Corps defeated the Qin army. The world must also see the strength of China. The first destination for many families to flee is China. When our population is ascension again, the hard power of the two countries will continue to shrink. The cultural influence of China has surpassed that of Qin. Qin's hegemonic life is poor, and we tolerate a life that can make everyone safe, and all the people in the world are bound to be on our side. We have never invaded any country since the founding of the country. When Qin was unable to take over China, the two sides competed for soft power. Therefore, the best way to deal with Qin now is not to confront each other face to face and use our own shortcomings to attack its strengths, but to continue to widen the gap with it in terms of influence and economy, people's livelihood, and culture. In this way, without us taking action, the people of the world will inevitably want us. Hua Kai stopped here for a while. It was the first time everyone heard the words of a country's soft power. My lord, what should we do now? Shui Chen had already moved his eyes. He already understood what Hua Kai meant. Hua Kai's heart was not conquering Qin to dominate the world, and he thought it was farther than this. First, promote the culture of China, and continue to increase China's influence by focusing on products from China, novels, snacks, and woolen products. Second, intelligence agencies must establish their own underground intelligence networks throughout the Central Plains to guide people's speech and let more people know about China's non-offensive propositions, China's system, and the happiness of the people in China. Let people all over the world yearn for life in China. Third, increase the proliferation of Chinese currency. The influence of paper currency is far more important than your aspirations. Now most of the Qin country has used our Chinese currency. When the two countries start an all-out war, the paper currency will be a great weapon of China. Fourth, to establish trade cooperation with more families in the Central Plains. The Qin region is a major difficulty for us. The intelligence department must play a role. Trade and China's cultural propaganda can be kept in the dark, waiting for the occurrence of China and Qin. In the final decisive battle, these underlying organizations can be transformed into a powerful force. If China is to dominate the world, it will certainly not fight against the world like Qin, so that the people of the world will not live. What we are fighting for is the hearts of the people. Quote. Hua Kai said that everyone nodded. The future direction of China is very clear. It is China's best not to dominate the world with force, but to conquer the Central Plains with its own powerful system. Finally, let's talk about the intelligence department. The fifth uncle's intelligence department in Lu is temporarily in charge of myself. The Hua family will send thousands of family members to cities in the Central Plains. I will tell all the family members the essentials of underground work. The intelligence department needs to increase the budget. This time, the palace dedicated 500,000 gold to the establishment of an underground intelligence network. The Central Plains Underground Intelligence Network will be established within 2 years to rapidly develop the number of underground organizations. Within 5 years, the number of members of the Central Plains Underground Organization will exceed 1 million. Quote. Hua Kai's saying so stunned everyone. What is the concept of 1 million? The entire Central Plains has a population of more than 30 million. If this underground organization is established, then China will not have to fight head-on with Qin, and the entire Qin will be destroyed. Around China. After the meeting, Hua Zichen and other members of the Azure Dragon Legion left. The rest of the staff remained silent in their thoughts. Hua Kai opened a new door for them. What they suddenly wanted to do was to let the people all over the world live. Good day, even if China has only one county. Everyone dispersed. The impact of this meeting on the core members of the Hua family is far-reaching. Hua Kai has set up an intelligence personnel training base to tell thousands of Hua family about the contact information between intelligence personnel and the selection of offline members. Responsibilities and obligations for development, own protection, and underground intelligence networks. Hua Kai clearly puts the core of development on qualified civilians. He compiled an intelligence book, using thousands of years of experience in later generations. The amount of information contained in this book is very large, and it is possible to form a school. On July 1st, with the help of the Bank of China and caravans, thousands of Chinese families went to the cities in the Central Plains. They all used their new identities. They stopped in various regions and cities in the Central Plains. This stop is likely to be in a few years or even decades. There is no special possibility that no one will know their former identity. Qin's claimed 1 million army tried several times to attack the city in Yuncheng, but because of the Azure Dragon Legion, they all ended in failure. Many families in Qi also supported the 100,000 army to Lu, and Lu resisted his confidence. The rapid growth of Qin state was turned away from Lu state. It seems that Qin state is not as invincible as everyone imagined. The performance of Azure Dragon Corps in Yuncheng played a central role. Qin state's many foundation building realms were affected by karma. Proliferation cannot be shot. It seems that the battlefield of Lu Kingdom is stabilized. 86%. Chapter 487. More than 1,000 underground workers from China went to the Central Plains countries, and 60% of them were in the area occupied by the Qin state. These were all carried out quietly, and no one knew about them except the core members of the Chinese family. Qin's offensive was blocked in Yuncheng of Lu state. Lu's strength surpassed everyone's imagination. His basic combat power had already competed with that of Qin state. By August, Lu state's forces were killed in Yuncheng with more than 200,000 troops, and the loss of Qin state was more than 150,000. Yuncheng became a flesh and blood mill, and the fire that burned corpses every day had not been extinguished. At the end of August, Qin Zheng went to Lu and attacked the Lu palace, but he did not find the figure of Lu King. After killing hundreds of ordinary guards to increase his karma, he was silent. In a small courtyard in Yuncheng, King Lu and Hua Zichen were drinking tea in the courtyard, and King Lu was smiling. Zichen, the effect of your 100 soothing flowers is beyond imagination. Yesterday, Qin's 50,000 sharp soldiers suddenly launched a fierce attack. Qin Zheng sent 150 blood dragon guards. If it weren't for the foundation building, Yun the city really can't be held. Wang Lu said while looking at Hua Zichen. Qin is now the common enemy of all countries in the world. A few days ago, my king also sent envoys to Chu. Qin's army has hit Zhongleguo and the border of Wu. Chu now supports Wu, Zhongleguo, Lu and Qin. In the army battle, the Chu state has sent 300,000 troops to support these countries, and it does not give Qin a chance to seize these countries smoothly. Yesterday, Qin state lost more than 20,000 sharp soldiers and 3 people in the foundation building. In this battle, Qin state already knew that there was little chance of winning Yuncheng. They must think of another way. We have to be prepared. Hua Zichen and King Lu said. Haha. Today, Qin state quietly sent envoys to contact with the Lu family. These families have already tied the Qin envoys to the Lu family. Lu Wang said with a smile. The family of the Lu family completely chose to believe in Lu. This is related to the battle between Lu and Qin for more than 2 months. Since Lu can have the strength to fight against Qin, then who wants to join Qin and be enslaved? Lu is after all an own country, family interests are all here. This is really good news. Qi Guo seems to be uncomfortable lately, and the anti-Qi family's voice seems not small. When Hua Zichen talked about Qi, Wang Lu's smile suddenly faded a lot. Poor old King Qi I was famous. Many families in Qi have no intention of resisting Qin. Qin has won many families in Qi and has given them great benefits. As long as Lu does not break Qin, these things will be a waste. If not, once participated in Sage's suppression, all the great families in Qi can fight. Wang Lu said. Qi has now completely lost the strength of Xishang. In the past few years, the population has lost a lot, and there are already less than 2 million people. Even if Qin wins over Qi, it will not help. China is unwilling to take the initiative to launch an attack on any country, but if Qi is going to descend to Qin, then China will not agree. Today, more than 90% of the people in Qi are looking forward to the integration of Chinese families. Hua Zichen said lightly. Qi is no longer a big country. Although Zhongshen is a Confucian, Sage has no talent for ruling the country. Qi Guoying, the voice of China, is constantly rising. If the family of Qi state raises the banner of Qin, the Hua family will certainly not let the other party succeed. In the past few days, more and more people have fled north to China. In order to reduce the defensive pressure, the state of Qin gathered the people of the occupying power in one city, so that Xinjiang could guarantee the safety of all the people. But abandoning a large number of cities and land will inevitably increase the number of wild beasts. If this is the case, the Qin state cannot reign in the precipice, and it will be a big disaster for the human race. China can look forward to the future. It is not difficult to become the hegemon of the Northeast Central Plains. Wang Lu said to Hua Zichen. King Lu could not condense the gold core, and the future achievements of Lu Kingdom would be the same as that of Qi in the prosperous period, becoming a quasi-first-class power. Hua Kai is now just over 30, and he is already a strong player in the gold core realm. It is possible that his strength will surpass Qin Zheng in the future. If the wild beasts are rampant in the world, the three northeast countries of Yan, China and Qi will only have Hua Kai as a gold core, and there is only one way to go to China. King Lu said that he was worried about the rise of China and Lu. Conflict occurs. King Lu does not have to worry. China has always made it clear that it will not take the initiative to attack any country at will. China is willing to cooperate with any country to develop and expand the power of the human race. Hua Zichen said to King Lu. When King Lu heard this, he couldn't help sighing. To say that the world he didn't understand was Hua Kai. Hua Kai didn't like war and focused on the life of the people in China. This was an important manifestation of the philosophers, persuading the king to love the people, but China does not believe in the ideology of 100 schools of thought, and does not govern the country based on the theory of 100 schools of thought. Under this situation, China develops every year, which makes everyone very puzzled. But when the Qin state showed its weakness to contend for the world, China promised to the world that it would never take the initiative to launch an attack on any country. This is the self-determination of annexing Yan and Qi. To be honest, the king of China has always been the existence I admire the most. Although I don't understand many of his practices, I have gradually shown that everything he did is right. The king of China values the people and puts the life of the people first. I have thought about this before, but the power of a country is too complicated. Only the common people are the most vulnerable. Weigh the influence of the family and the people in Lu. Li has already consumed all the energy of the Lu family, so I haven't done this. If one day all people in the world hope that life will be under the rule of China, Lu will be the first to conform to the general trend of the world and led Lu to join China. Wang Lu solemnly stated to Hua Zichen. Hua Zichen couldn't help but admire Hua Kai's approach. In such a situation in the state of Lu, King Lu already had the heart to take refuge in the state of China. As long as the other occupied areas of Qi state knew everything about the state of China, they would definitely want to live in the life of the people of the state of China. Thousands of underground organizers sent by China this year have now begun to quietly develop their influence. This must be a great joy for all peoples. At that time, the world's monarchs will definitely see one thing clearly, that is the power of ordinary people, which will be able to make all the monarchs and families look at it. The power of. After Hua Zichen finished talking about King Lu, he said nothing. Now that Lu is at war with Qin, everyone's mind is on the battlefield. He is fully able to learn from China to make some layouts. In the past few years, he has also studied China's development. Since Hua Kai took the position of the head of the Chinese family to the present, he also has some own experience. Since the Chinese system may become the direction of learning for all countries in the world, why does Lu state not try to conform to the general trend of the world? China's system unknowingly began to be imitated by Lu, which is a great milestone. At the end of August, Qin state repeatedly attacked Yuncheng of Lu state and failed. Qin Zheng shot and killed many Lu state foundation buildings. The Lu state foundation building was forced to explode, but he was unable to break into Yuncheng. Qin state sent another 200,000 troops from the country, of which 50,000 sharp soldiers made up for Qin state's consumption in Lu state. It seemed that they had to take Yuncheng. The state of Lu organized militias to support Yuncheng many times. Every day, a large number of people died due to the strong walls of Yuncheng. Some families of the Qi state also came to Lu state with their family power to support. A decisive battle led by the state of Lu kicked off in Yuncheng. The reputation of Azure Dragon Corps is getting bigger and bigger. Qin Guo tried to deal with Azure Dragon Legion, and even Qin Zheng led many foundation building realms to kill nearly 100 people in Azure Dragon Legion, but this did not have much impact on Azure Dragon Corps. Qin Zheng couldn't do anything below Shantian realm. The Azure Dragon Corps Reserve Group 1000-member brigade followed the China Merchants Corps to the Kingdom of Lu, supplementing the loss of the Corps' manpower, making the Azure Dragon Corps always have the strongest offensive power, which made Qin lose a lot of every time it attacked the city of troops. There was also good news from the Chu state. The 300,000 troops of Chu state fought against Qin state in Zhongli state. Qin state's 400,000 troops fell and 50,000 sharp troops were defeated. Some countries have already embraced Chu state. The kingdom of Chu led troops to march north, and the kingdom of Qin gradually retreated based on the advantages of the city. When they left, they tried their best to move the people away, leaving only an empty city for Chu. In September, Qin finally began to migrate civilians from various countries in the Central Plains. Many counties with less than 10,000 people were directly abandoned. There were countless abandoned empty cities in the Central Plains. When countries in the southwestern part of the Central Plains saw this place, they all began to take refuge in Chu, because they knew that Qin was doing this to help them unify their great cause with the wild beasts. The state of Qin gathered all the people together, and Qin Zheng shot down all the demonic beasts. The state of Qin has the most foundation building in the world. It is not a problem to defend these big cities. However, other countries do not have the strength of Qin state, and will inevitably be attacked by wild beasts. Qin state has already reached the point of being frantic in doing so. This has led to the inevitably increasing number of wild beasts in the world, and the pressure on the survival of the human race has increased. When the human race is almost wiped out by the wild beasts, Qin Zheng will take action to eliminate the last opponent, then it will become easier to unify the world. Small and medium-sized countries in the southern and southeastern parts of the Central Plains have turned to Chu. Seeing that here, Chu can only give up some small cities and start moving all the people to the big cities, because the more places they have, the greater the defensive pressure, and what Qin can do. Why can't Chu state do things? The attitude of Qin and Chu shocked the whole world. Lian Po contacted China for the first time, and Qin moved almost all the people of Zhao. They stayed here to live a hard life and famine. The beast was fighting fearlessly, and many soldiers were actually unable to hold it long ago. A few years have passed, and there is no news from Zhao Wang. The impression of Zhao Guo in everyone's mind is slowly fading. Every day in China, caravans pass through Kangou Pass. How can the people of China live? How can they not know? Seeing that both Qin and Chu had begun to shrink their forces, their voices in joining China became louder and louder. 86%. Chapter 488. On September 30th, Huakai was discussing with the core members of the family in the family secret realm space. Today, the situation has changed drastically. Small and medium-sized countries cannot survive in the Central Plains. Small and medium-sized countries have begun to move closer to major countries. The change. The king, Daiguo, Zhongshanguo, Fio and other 13 countries sent envoys to join the country as a whole, hoping that we can guarantee the rights of their royal family and aristocratic family. Hua Zuan said to Huakai. Tell them that there is no need to stay in cities with fewer than 10,000 people. If all the families of the 13 countries want to come to China, they will be given the rights of their original families. If they don't come to China, all their properties will be absolutely protected. It's just that, the 13 countries must accept the rule of China, and everything must be managed in accordance with China's system. The 3 major institutes have sent people to establish government offices at all levels in the 13 countries in the past few days. Take charge of all city defense rights as soon as possible, send soldiers to take over the city defense, and install as many ballistas as possible before the arrival of winter. From next year, all the development focus of China must be placed on the elimination of wild animals. Quote. After Hua Kai finished speaking, it was a headache. Qin suffered a heavy loss in Yuncheng of Lu State this year. In order to reduce the pressure on the beasts in the area to attack the city, the migration of the people is the only thing that can be done. To the Central Plains countries. Chu learned from Qin and started migrating its people. This is also foreseeable. Every small and medium-sized country in the world will start to endanger themselves. If you don't find a backer, it means destruction. However, there are only 4 people left in the Gold Core realm. Do people live in this world? Our government council has already discussed that the 13 countries, including Daiguo and Zhongshanguo, cover an area of 110,000 square kilometers. They are located to the west of the Dongling Mountains and bordering the Qi and Zhao countries. We can establish 6 districts there and divide them separately. The first county of the city will be managed. Shui Chen said. Huakai nodded. The entire land area of China is just over 100,000 square meters excluding Baishan and Donghu grassland. If you add these 12 countries, the area is no longer smaller than Qi, but China's territory is not in one state. Therefore, it cannot be regarded as an exclusive state. This is not what Huakai hopes for the general trend of the world to develop. In this way, commercial trade will become difficult, countries will increase their control over the people, and the Wahia underground intelligence network will not be easy to establish. Although the country of Yan is still under the control of the Yan family, different voices have appeared in the country of Yan. Some families have proposed to join the country of China, but this is blocked by most families. Although there are many mountains in the country, they are all small hills. The possibility of intermediate demonic beasts is unlikely, but there are still a large number of people from Yan to China. Lian Po has asked most of the people of Zhaoguo to follow the caravan to Baishan. He has given up Shuoxian and retreated to Kanggo Pass. Now although Zhaoguo still has more than 100,000 troops and Zhao Guojing has more than 30,000 troops, he evacuated Kanggo. The pass is inevitable. In the future, there will be more and more wild beasts in the northern part of Zhao State. It is no longer meaningful for Lian Po to stay at Kanggo Pass. It can only make Zhao Bing die more. Hua Zan said to Hua Kai. The North Mountain is still safe now. With the Great Wall in the south, it is difficult to go north with wild animals. The cottages in the North Mountain are mostly in the cottage. Demonic beasts poses a very small threat to it, but the construction of the wall must be strengthened. Winter is about to enter in another 1.5 months. This period of time has to complete the migration of the people, and all the new migrants are evenly dispersed among the regions. The city defenders in all regions must do a good job in city security. Anyone who violates the city management laws and regulations shall be dealt with in accordance with the laws and regulations. Hua Kai said. Lian Po can see to Zhao's loyalists that all the small and medium-sized countries in the world now have to seek refuge in a big country. No one will say that he is wrong with him now in China. Hua Kai is waiting for Lian Po to become a member of the Chinese family. Entering October, the country of China is busy receiving people from various countries. Everyday people from all directions in the Central Plains follow the Chinese business group to enter the country. This is inseparable from the cooperation of China's underground intelligence organization, Bank of China, and business groups. It exceeds tens of thousands every day. People enter China from the 3 directions of China's south, north, and east. Soon they are assigned to China's 12 districts based on their own specialties or their relatives in China. Daguo, Zhongshan and other countries have come to China, and now they are only counted as subsidiary countries of China. It will take a long process for China to assimilate all of them. As November gets closer and closer, more people in China are gathering votes everywhere. Different from the excitement of previous years, this year Confucian giants and Mohist giants participated in the election of deputies. Shacheng is very lively this year. Over time, the National Assembly system of China has been accepted and recognized by all the people, and their elected representatives have been slowly doomed. The people will ask these members to solve any problems they encounter. Members and the government in communication. The government is afraid of the tightness of these legislators, and there are few contradictions that cannot be resolved. In the past few years, some businessmen have gradually taken up more seats of parliamentarians, and the rights of businessmen have begun to be paid more and more attention to, and parliamentarians have spoken louder and louder in various cities. When the rights and interests of the people who have just entered China are not protected, they all start to do so. Seeking congressmen. Because Shacheng has a breakthrough of 800,000 this year, the first-level congressman representatives reached 87, and the total number of congressmen in China is more than 600. The House Assembly system is being improved every year, and it was held in mid-October. The ministry announced the list of first-level representatives of each city, and soon all issues were sent to the House of Representatives. With the increasing population of China every year, the number of representatives has also increased, and everyone has put forward more and more opinions. If everyone is asked to raise the issue of own, it may not be enough for the entire winter. Therefore, the House of Representatives conducts a preliminary review of all the topics in the previous report half a month in advance each year, and only deletes some repetitive topics, such as anti-humanity, anti-government, and anti-Chinese rule. The topics will be reduced to less than 500, and then they will be the same as each other. The person on a topic chooses a representative to speak in this year's House of Representatives. At the end of October, Hua Kai held a month-end meeting of core members in the family secret realm space. The Azure Dragon Legion cannot be withdrawn. As long as the Qin army does not retreat, the Azure Dragon Legion must stay in Lu. If Lu is broken, Qin forces will surely get ascension again. If it is divided into 5 points today, Qin state occupies half of the territory of the Central Plains, with a population of more than 13 million as the largest power. The state of Chu has gathered all the small countries in the southern part of the Central Plains, now with a population of over 8 million, making it the second largest power in the world. There is not much difference between China and Chu, with a population of more than 7 million, of which more than 1 million are in the newly established Zhongshan County. The fourth largest power belongs to the two countries headed by Lu. The population of Lu is more than 3.4 million, and Qi is about 1.7 million. The total population of 5 million belongs to the fourth largest power. The fifth force belongs to the country of Yan, with a population of 1.3 million, of which more than 200,000 people came to China from Yan country this year. Many measures taken by the country of Yan could not prevent the people from fleeing to China. Among these five forces, the country of Yan is completely negligible. Shui Chen reported to Huakai. Don't pay attention to the affairs of the Yan state. The Yan state sent an envoy a few days ago, hoping to get help from China in the winter, but Yan state does not have any capital to negotiate cooperation with the Chinese state. They refuse the people to enter the Chinese state. The previous agreement between the two countries. Hua Kai said. Shui Chen nodded, and Hua Zan said at this moment, Sheng Wang, there is news from Lian Po, asking you to go to Kanghaoguan as soon as possible. He wants to chat with you. Lian Po did not have the capital to talk to Huakai. The purpose of looking for Huakai this time must be for the return of Zhao to China. Everyone is also very happy to hear this. Don't talk about the 30,000 Zhao Guojing right in the middle. Wan Jinggrui, but an absolute strong soldier, after Zhao returned to China, China's national combat power can be ascensionable. Lian Po is one of the four famous generals in the world, and his talents are not equal to Bai Qi. Bai Qi had to be hidden by Qin Zhengshe because of the massacre of Zhao Min. The generals of the big army have the ability to make military policies, but no one can compare with the four famous generals in the overall situation. I will put this famous general in China as soon as possible. Huakai said. Huakai mainly emphasized to everyone the resettlement work of the new arrivals this year. This year, the government council's livelihood security expenditure has seriously exceeded the budget. Cause an impact. Huakai is not afraid of these problems. As long as some problems are dealt with slowly, the new system of China will become more and more perfect, and the vitality of China will become stronger. On November 1st, all China's eyes are on the Assembly Hall of the House of Representatives. At the end of each meeting, the China newspaper will quickly print the content of the meeting on the newspaper, and this newspaper will be transmitted to all parts of China at the fastest speed. In big cities, everyone is discussing this. Hua Kai left Huacheng to go to Kanggo Pass. It was only half a day. He rode Luma across thousands of miles to the sky above Kanggo Pass. He saw that there were no soldiers on the whole pass, and there were no people walking in the pass. Lian Po sat in the palace hall of the city lord. Hua Kai met Lian Po again and saw that he was a little older than before. He sat opposite Lian Po. Lian Po did not speak and took out a wine glass and placed it in front of Hua Kai. Take a wine bottle from the center of the seat and pour it on him. Huakai took a light sip. It is Wahia spirit wine. In recent years, as Huakai Baoguang glass bottle has less and less spiritual liquid, there are fewer and fewer spiritual wines on the market. They the two were silent to each other. Lian Po sat north and looked at the south, which was the direction of Handan City. I once said that the Haodian of Qin's dominance will be chaotic. I take back what I have said. Today, China is not weaker than Qin. Once the world took care of the Chinese family, Qin also underestimated you. As a result, China was abrupt. This interrupted Qin's ambition to dominate the world. Qin Zheng is able to migrate with the people and return to the world together. This is all persecution by China. Are you afraid of Qin Zheng's sudden appearance when you come to me? Lian Po said suddenly. 86%. Chapter 489 Big Tsunami. When Hua Kai heard Lian Po's words, he ignored Lian Po and took a sip of spirit wine and then put it down. I rescued you in Yu's country. The main reason is because of your loyalty. China does not have your business as usual. I have the confidence to finish the road that Qin has not finished. If you are willing to take you with me, it is also an interesting thing. Hua Kai did not answer that Lian Po was afraid of Qin Zheng, because the question was meaningless. If it was before, I would think that you were talking big. Now I know you are right. Qin's dominance of the world was destroyed by you. If China attacked Qin from Kanghaoguan or Shaoguan this year, it would be a general trend. On the side of Qin, if China can stay quiet and wait and see, Qin has nothing to do, unless Qin Zheng can kill you. Lian Po said this like talking to an old friend. He controls the overall situation in China only. Kai and Shui Chen can compare with them. Perhaps Qin Zheng felt that the timing was wrong. Or maybe he was not willing to destroy China like this. No matter what, China is getting stronger and stronger. Everybody knows the treasure of Huacheng, but no one is in China. The city is rampant. You said why Qin didn't come to Huacheng. Hua Kai said casually. Similar to what I thought. You are already invincible with such a whole card. Today you shouldn't take the risk at Kango Pass. Lian Po said. Hee, my cards are more than these. Tell me, what do you plan to do with these, Zhao Bing? Zhao Guo left these seeds. Lian Po burst into laughter when he heard this. Hua Kai was able to bring the entire Hua family to this point in just over 10 years. It was not entirely without reason. Compared with Zhao Dan, Hua Kai was confident, tolerant, benevolent, and trustworthy. The great monarch is also a friend and confidant, completely different from the aloof King Zhao. How does King China plan to arrange me? Lian Po said. Your will is expected to be in the gold core realm late stage. Now you are only one step away from the virtual pill realm. If you join China, I will send you to a place. It may take a few years. When you come out, the virtual pill should be able to cohesion. Hua Kai said. Lian Po was unavoidably sighed when he heard that he had entered the foundation building realm for nearly 100 years. If it had not been for Zhao Dan repeatedly to block him at critical times, he might have already entered the gold core realm, but the Zhao family would not want more Zhao Guo. A different surname, gold core realm. Thinking of this, the corner of Lian Po's mouth showed a smile. He got up and flew down to the court. At this time, more than 100,000 Zhao Bing had packed up all the salutes. Lian Po came to the front of the team to explain to more than a dozen foundation building members of Zhao Guo. All the troops of the state of Zhao went out of the Kango Pass, and he rode on the horse quietly watching the last city of the state of Zhao. Hua Kai came to Lian Po. He knew that Lian Po's unreasonableness to him today was to let go of him. After today, there will only be an empty city at this Kango Pass. After today, there will be no Zhao country. Lian Po has seen the king. Lian Po solemnly paid homage to Hua Kai's monarch and ministers. Hua Kai looked at the opponent, slowly came to him, and supported him with both hands. I will arrange all of these Zhao soldiers in the wild city, as the 8th Army of China Zhao Guoxing. Lian Po did not expect that Hua Kai would retain the title of Zhao Guoxingqi, so the soldiers would not forget Zhao Guo, which is not good for China. The king doesn't have to be like this. It is benevolent for China to take in Zhao Bing. Let him guard Leopard Yuguan and Shacheng. It is enough to give the 8th Army a sequence, and there is no need to let him retain the title of Zhao Guoxingqi. Lian Po transferred to be a minister of China. We must consider it for China. Zhao Guoxingqi is not only a symbol of the state of Zhao, but also the representative of the most elite cavalry in the Central Plains. It can make Zhao Guoxingqi become the 8th Army of China. Do you think the people of China are not happy? Hua Kai laughed said. Lian Po nodded. Hua Kai's heart is in the world. He is confident that China can annex the Zhao culture, and China is just a new country 4 years after its founding. Hua Kai and Lian Po did not need to take the road on their horses. They went straight from Daiguo, which is now the northern part of the Zhongshan Army of China, across the Dongling Mountains to Huacheng. At night, Lian Po was already in the palace. Hua Kai took Lian Po to a palace and appointed 4 guards to guard outside the palace. No one except him should be allowed to enter. Lian Po took 3 Zhongling Dan in a week, 4 precious Shou Dan and 1 clear body Dan. This allowed the side effects of the natural supernatural powers to be eliminated, so that he had the opportunity to condense the virtual Dan and enter the gold core territory. The one I'm going to take you to is my journey to the West world. After you enter, you will reincarnate. The longer you live in the journey to the West world, the better it will be for you. I will go to a place first and give you 3. It takes time to understand what this world is all about. Hua Kai said that he took Lian Po into the journey to the West 33 days away. Lian Po currently has only 71 points of loyalty, and there are still thousands of miles to enter the Chinese family list. The best chance to break into the gold core realm is to enter the world of Journey to the West. Now the second round of Journey to the West is 613 years. The Monkey King was born on the day when Huaguoshan became king. On the 3rd day, Hua Kai came to Westward Journey World 33 days away. Lian Po said that he was ready, and Hua Kai sent him to the underworld Samsara. Lian Po's reincarnated farmer's house was in a small country in the northwest part of Datang. His luck was not very good. Hua Kai glanced at it and ignored it. It depends on Lian Po's own good fortune. Only the core members of the Hua family can know about Lian Po's arrival. Hua Kai gave Zhao Guo the treatment he deserves in the foundation building environment. As a result, 9 of the 14 people chose to stay in Weisung for cultivation, because Weisung is really a rare blessed place. The remaining 5 people are all concerned by the family. Huakai grants them the third-rank family treatment. The privileges of the family in China are limited. It is up to them to develop and grow in the future. The Hua family suddenly added 14 foundation buildings, which makes China's foundation building close to 40 people. Given that Huakai has the ability to solve all the demonic beasts, the 14 foundation buildings clean up the wild beasts faster than 1,000 Shantians. The environment is fast. On November 9th, Lian Po entered the 6th day of journey to the west. The weather has been extremely cold these few days, but it has not snowed. The entire country of China is ready for winter, and farmers outside the city have also entered the city to rest at this time. The herders drove the cattle and sheep to the activity-safe area. Hua Kai was sitting in the study room and was recopying Three Kingdoms. In the past few days, he started to idle and began to conceive the plot of Three Kingdoms in the virtual space. Journey to the West has become the only holy book for novelists, and The Red Chamber and Water Margin have been re-recorded as masterpieces. In Red Mansion, she chose to embody 2 things, a fairy stone and a fairy grass. The fairy stone was transformed by Jia Baoyu, and the fairy grass was transformed by Lin Daiyu. As long as Huakai invests in mental energy to continuously improve the novel world, the quality of this fairy stone and fairy grass will continue to ascension, which means that he has an extra high-end elixir. The strange stone comes from. It's just that it has been 3 years since Red Mansion became a masterpiece. The fairy stone in Red Mansion has only reached the 4th rank, and can only be used for forging spiritual weapons. The fairy grass now has only the 8th rank elixir level, which is not enough to refine. Make elixir. The water margin is the Lu Chuan. Hua Kai feels that Three Kingdoms has a chance to become a holy scripture, so he has worked hard to build the world structure this time, especially in the martial skill cultivation technique, which is owned by the Three Kingdoms world. He has given top-ranking military commanders a real cultivation technique above the heaven level, and those top military commanders all possess the heaven-level advanced mental method or martial skill. For this, Hua Kai has spent a lot of family luck. There is a chapter included in the book. Hua Kai sighed, the masterpiece is easy, but the holy scripture is really not that easy. Up to now, his Three Kingdoms has been included more than half, but there is still no sign of becoming a holy scripture. Think where is the problem? As he was thinking about it, Hua Kai suddenly felt that the sky was suddenly dimmed, and he felt a powerful and terrifying spiritual force coming from the east. The powerful refining of mental energy was unimaginable. Hua Kai walked out of the study and saw a white dragon phantom in the sky coming from the east. The dragon was tens of thousands of meters long, and the entire Huacheng could be seen clearly. A cool breeze hits from the east, and Hua Kai felt a faint damp, with a hint of saltiness in the damp. Hua Kai floated in the air, and several foundation buildings from Huacheng flew towards him. Just now, the phantom of the flood dragon gave everyone a strong sense of fear. It is already in existence beyond the intermediate demonic beasts. Could it be that a big monster has appeared in the East China Sea? The great demon is the same as the God transformation realm. The Eastern divine state has not been out of the transcendent God realm for 1,000 years, and has never seen the great demon. If a great demon was born just now, the human race would be difficult. Tang Lei, all of you stay in Huacheng and don't leave. I will explore it and it won't be dangerous. Hua Kai called out Lu Ma and rode eastward. From west to east, Huakai traverses the central and eastern regions of China. After entering the territory of Yan country, Huakai has been running towards the North Sea. The closer Huakai is to the sea, the more humidity it feels. The huge dragon ghost appears in the void from time to time, approaching when the North Sea was 500 miles away. Huakai saw a huge wave coming from east to west. The wave was more than 100 meters high, and it was mixed with the mighty power of water will. Hua Kai saw it hurriedly rise. This huge wave entered the country of Yan. Hua Kai saw a city not far away seeing the danger, and they all rushed out of the city, but how could they run through the leaving tsunami? Just a few breaths, the whole city after being smashed, the people who escaped from the city were not spared. Some Qi training realms flew hundreds of meters high in the air, and the true Qi was not enough to reach the height of ascension and was swept away by the water. Only one foundation building realm and several Shantian realm escaped were born. They watched the entire city destroyed before they were sad, because they couldn't stand in the air for a long time, and they would definitely die if they fell without escape from the tsunami area. 86%. Chapter 490. Hua Kai saw the monstrous tsunami sweeping across the earth, and then it turned into a vast ocean underneath him. Several Shantian realms struggled to chase the tsunami away, but their speed was too slow, and the distance from the tsunami was getting larger and larger. More and more Shantian realms were submerged by the sea, and in the end only one foundation building realm remained. Hua Kai knows that this foundation building will fall away sooner or later, because he can't hold on for long. Hua Kai has no ability to rescue him. Lu Ma is able to run away because of his true chi support. After 2 hours, he can't hold on by himself. He will take Lu Ma into the trial secret realm to take a short rest and then take it. Medicine pill supplements true chi. Seeing the vast ocean at his feet, Hua Kai continued eastward. Although he has never explored the ocean, he also knows that the ocean demonic beasts are much stronger than the land. Traveling eastward for another 20 miles, Hua Kai saw a huge dragon appearing from the sea and disappearing into the sea. No, the Jiaolong seemed to have seen him too, and had not reappeared after sinking into the sea for a long time. Hua Kai didn't dare to be careless. He let Lu Ma continue to lift up to a height of 1,000 meters. The strong sense of crisis became stronger and stronger. Hua Kai increased his vigilance and rode Lu Ma into the family space. Physical training secret realm, here to restore Luma's strength. After waiting for half an hour, Hua Kai estimated that the flood dragon should have already left. He rode back to the sky above Yan Kingdom and saw that someone was actually fighting the flood dragon. Is it Qin Zheng? The possibility of this world being able to fight against this great monster is Qin Zheng alone. Hua Kai fixed his eyes to see an old man surrounded by danger under the chase of the dragon. Who was the Confucian sage that he had always admired? Little friend Hua, this flood dragon has already entered the great demon realm. If he is allowed to continue in such a mess, the entire kingdom of Yan may be submerged by the sea. You help me to entangle this dragon for 10 breaths, and I will use the power of the scripture to severely hurt this great demon, so as to prevent the people of the world from being overwhelmed. Quote. Kong Zisheng used mental energy to communicate with Hua Kai. It was the first time that Hua Kai saw the deity of Kong Zisheng. His aura was a few points stronger than himself. It should be the gold core realm great perfection, plus his most holy plus success. The gold core realm should already exist invincibly. Kong Zisheng is not anxious. Hua Kai rode towards the water dragon. He felt that the willpower of Kong Zisheng was about the same as his own. The willpower of the water dragon was a few points stronger than them, but it could not completely suppress them. Perhaps because he felt that Hua Kai was in danger, Wukong's figure appeared beside him for a moment. The flood dragon who was chasing Kong Zisheng suddenly turned his gaze, looked in the direction of Hua Kai, gave up Kong Zisheng and killed him. Wukong is only the 8th early stage, and his strength is 1 point weaker than Hua Kai's gold core level 3. It also knows that this dragon is hard to beat, so he roars at Hua Kai and flies into the distance. Hua Kai knows what Wukong means. Separate yourself to meet the enemy. Hua Kai and Wukong dealt with demonic beasts hundreds of times, and they were very skillful with each other. Seeing that Jiaolong set their eyes on Wukong, Hua Kai took out the gentian gun and planned to fight with them. He possessed Cao Shayi, not afraid of Jiaolong's lock in an imprisonment on him. If Wukong is in danger, he plans to use the world power of Journey to the West to launch a fatal blow to this great monster. In any case, Wukong cannot die here. The Jiaolong chased Wukong in the blink of an eye, and opened a nearly 10-meter wide mouth to bite Wukong quickly. Wukong did not dare to force his opponent to flee quickly. Hua Kai felt that the Hua family's luck was rapidly decreasing. Wukong was dangerously evading the opponent's blow, and at this time, the hundreds of meters long tail of the dragon rushed to Wukong. This is the killer of the dragon. If this strike is drawn, Wukong will peel off if he is not dead. Hua Kai saw Wukong's figure unable to move in the air. It had only 5 layers of the will of gold, and it was completely in the process of being suppressed. Hua Kai took out a confinement talisman. This confinement talisman has never been used since he obtained it. When he used it, Hua Kai felt that the Hua family's luck had weakened again. This time at least tens of thousands of family luck points disappeared. Wukong escaped from the imprisonment of the dragon. He instantly came to the north of the dragon. His small fist hit the dragon's back. The dragon was hit by a single blow, and blood flowed out of his back. Wukong's this strike also used nearly 100,000 chi luck points. Seeing that Wukong can still persist by relying on Hua Jia chi luck, Hua Kai didn't use the impression talisman first, and he waited for the opportunity to use the isolation talisman to give Jiaolong a fatal one-hit. Seeing Wukong flashing to the left, Wakai quickly approached the Jiaolong on horseback to kill him. 10 meters away from the Jiaolong, Wakai felt a huge force of will imprisonment enveloped him. He didn't care about these and quickly approached the Jiaolong gentian gun and stabbed its body, and a spear thrust was placed on the Jiaolong Huakai arm. The shock was numb. The flood dragon was just a few scales seeping blood around. Wakai Yun used all his strength to attack this big demon and the damage was limited. The big demon and the intermediate level were completely different concepts. Wakai did not cause substantial harm to the big demon, but the big demon was hurt and killed Wakai. Wakai was not restrained by the opponent and saw the opponent quickly approach him and quickly entered the family secret realm space to escape. After entering the space for 10 seconds, Wakai did not dare to stay longer and returned to the sky above the coast of Yan Kingdom, and saw that Jiaolong was in a fierce battle with Xiaoqiang. Xiaoqiang seems to have found the opponent's weakness, and consumes his family's luck to attack the opponent's neck from time to time. The dragon's neck has been wounded and bleeding, and the dragon has been protecting his weakest point of scale. Wakai raised his spear to kill the opponent. Wakai also felt that as long as he was close to the place where the dragon was against the scales, the opponent would defend, which made it easier for him and Wukong to deal with this big monster. Wukong punched near Jiaolong Nilan, and Wakai felt that his family's vitality value was directly lost by more than 100,000 points. Just for a while, Wukong had already spent more than 3 million vitality points, and they could hold on for another minute at most. When the family's luck value is exhausted, Wukong can't entangle the opponent, and they can only run away. Wakai pierced into the gap between the dragon's scales, and the dragon's blood flowed. He just glanced at Wukong to determine the position of the opponent. When the dragon's body touched Wakai's body, Wakai felt a strong impact, and his whole body was suddenly hit. Pain. At this time, Wakai felt the surrounding environment suddenly change. The sky was full of endless righteous energy, and the words of the saints impacted his whole body. Wakai felt that his whole body was full of power. Little friend Wa stepped away. Wakai heard the rumors from Kong Zisheng to own. At this time, a huge lightsaber continued to condense in the sky, and that lightsaber was as high as 10,000 feet, as if occupying the entire world. Wakai also felt the power of this sword. Kong Zisheng summoned his Analects of Confucius world out, and he condensed this sword with the power of the entire world. The Jiaolong also felt the crisis when he saw this place, and withdrew the power of will to deal with Huakai and Wukong. All the power of mental energy and aptitude condensed into a shield above his body, and began to flee to the east quickly. Wakai knew that this was a fatal attack on the dragon by Kong Zisheng's abandonment of the entire sacred canon. Wukong saw the dragon escape and felt the crisis of a righteous lightsaber, and instantly fled family secret realm space. When Wakai saw this, he knew that the sword of Kong Zisheng must be able to cause great damage to this dragon, but next time he waited for it to get better before it continued to cause chaos. He saw Jiaolong running away with stronger willpower on his body, and watched the confinement talisman in his hand threw it at it. The imprisonment turned into a light and shadow in the body of the dragon. Wakai saw the willpower of the opponent disappear instantly without a trace. Even the spirit of the dragon had disappeared, and the body of the dragon sank into the sea uncontrollably. Wakai saw that the Kongji sacred light sword had been cut to the dragon. Wakai's entire body was wrapped in righteous energy. He used up the last mental energy to communicate family secret realm space and escaped into family secret realm space. Wakai sat on the floor of the chamber, spitting out 3 mouthfuls of blood. Although he is also a Confucianist, the sword of justice just now carried a strong murderous air. He felt that his whole body was going to be affected by just getting a bit of it shattered. Fortunately, the righteousness is not harmful to Wakai, and even after he is constantly repairing his own injury, Wakai has the strength to take out a Zhang Lingdan from the portable space and take it. After a few breaths, Wakai opened his eyes, and he saw Han Jinsheng and several core family members looking at him from a distance. Wukong was also exhausted. His entire left arm was bloody and he didn't know when he suffered hurt. I'm fine. Kong Zisheng used the power of the Analects, sacred world in order to drive away the great demon. When I first came to hide in the space, I used the confinement talisman for the great demon. The effect is 3 minutes, and now it has only passed less than 1 minute. Wukong, let's go out and see if we can kill this big monster. Wakai didn't care that his injury hadn't recovered yet. Leaving the rush space, he went back to the coast of Yan State and saw Kong Zisheng floating in the sky above 1,000 meters high, without seeing the shadow of the flood dragon. The blood was getting thicker and thicker in a place in the sea. Hua Kai was about to sink into the bloody sea when he saw this place. At this time, Kong Zisheng came to him. Thank you, little friend Hua, for the action. Just now the power of will and the power of spirit have dissipated. The big demon must have been seriously injured now. Let's leave as soon as he hasn't recovered. It will see us again in case he is seriously injured and angry and loses his mind. Monster Core, the entire country of Yan may be in danger. We hurry to leave now. The other party received a righteous energy attack from this serious injury. It would be difficult to recover from the injury within 3 years. Quote. Kong Zisheng's face was pale. He just used the power of the sacred world. It would not be difficult to restore the effect of the sacred text after the disappearance of the world's power in 100 years. Mental energy is also seriously damaged, but he is still waiting here. 86%. Chapter 491 Killing the Great Demon Flood Dragon. Hua Kai can't take care of too much. Now that half of the time has passed, the water dragon is imprisoned by the containment talisman, except for its strong physical body, and it does not pose much threat to Hua Kai. He must check the damage of this dragon, if he can kill one. Great demon, this is a big deal for the entire human race. Kong Zisheng, you leave first. I have the supernatural powers to avoid it. This dragon seems to be seriously injured. I will go and see if I can kill it. Hua Kai finished speaking and quickly sank to the bottom of the sea. How can the vitality of the big demon be comparable to ordinary demonic beasts? It is rare that the gold core can hurt the big demon, little friend Hua. Kong Zisheng said that Hua Kai had disappeared, and he sighed and hurriedly flew to the west. Hua Kai sank into the sea and saw a huge figure sinking towards the bottom of the sea. A stream of blood spread from below. Hua Kai could not see everything in the water. He relied on the power of his spirit to see the blood on the head of the dragon. As it kept spreading out, this flood dragon seemed to have lost consciousness. It has been almost 2 minutes since using the imprisonment just now. Hua Kai did not dare to waste time. He quickly sank beside the dragon, and the power of the 6th layer of ice will allowed him to walk quickly in the water. The white justice of the dragon's body continued to flicker, and the justice of justice was better than any power of will for demonic beasts. It's horrible. Within 10 meters of Zhaolong's body, Hua Kai could feel the pain and distortion of the opponent's body. Without the power of will and spirit, he could only rely on the strength of the great demon's body to resist the erosion of justice. Hua Kai saw himself so close. The other party didn't even notice him. When the opponent had no mental energy, Hua Kai was relieved immediately. He was considering how to use this short 1-minute time to kill the big demon. There was only one way after thinking about it. Hua Kai gritted his teeth, and the phantom of journey to the west penetrated the Zhaolong, but the Zhaolong still didn't notice it. A huge trident suddenly appeared out of thin air, and a stalwart god with 3 eyes would appear next to Zhaolong. Because of the rapid integration of the westward journey world Guan in the entire sea, Hua Kai felt that part of the original power of the westward journey world was interacting with this. The seas merged and dissipated, and he hurriedly commanded Erlang Shen Yongjian to launch a fatal blow to Zhaolong. Erlang Shen Yongjian is the world's strongest general in Journey to the West. After Hua Kai has been nurturing for a long time with auspicious clouds, now there is the Gold Core Realm middle stage cultivation base. As a rare water warfare expert in Heaven Court, his full-strength a life-threatening blow should kill this dragon. Even though the flood dragon was seriously injured, it seemed to feel the crisis coming. It opened its eyes with large grinding discs. At this time, Yongjian had already quickly arrived at its inverted scale. The Zhaolong let out an unwilling roar, exhausted his last strength and began to swim to the top of the sea. But it doesn't have mental energy, and it doesn't have the power of will to use, and it can't even communicate with the inner alchemy. Yongjian's trigeminal stab swiftly stabs at the point where the dragon is against the scales. The dragon can only escape with the power of the already severely injured body, but how can it escape? Yongjian's tridents grew bigger and bigger, and finally turned into a golden light. Yongjian's figure quickly dissipated and merged with his own tridents. The tridents pierced into the dragon's inverse scales, and the entire body of the dragon was brought out of the sea by a powerful inertia. Hua Kai was shocked by the roar of the flood dragon and vomited a mouthful of blood. He endured the severe pain in his body and started chasing the dragon. The time left was running out. If the dragon does not die within half a minute, then he must enter family secret realm Luma, who hides and stays in the air in the sea will surely die. When he rushed out of the sea, Hua Kai saw that a huge trident had penetrated its body at the place where the dragon was against the scales. In this way, the dragon was still not dead, and it flew into the air and kept rolling and neighing. Hua Kai could not chase after thousands of meters. Going to the opponent, seeing that the last effort was about to fall short, Hua Kai suddenly found that Wukong had appeared in front of the dragon. Wukong grabbed the torn sky above the dragon's scales, and punched its pierced wound. The Jiaolong is already in a frenzy that is irrational, exhausting his last strength and constantly rolling in the air. If it is not completely imprisoned by mental power and willpower, it is likely to have blew the inner altar at this time, and Hua Kai saw that time was left. Almost, while chasing behind the dragon, he communicated with mental energy to Wukong quickly to avoid entering the family secret realm space. He didn't want to slay Wukong here in order to kill the dragon. At this time, Hua Kai saw the flying and tumbling water dragon figure suddenly stopped. Wukong's body suddenly became several times larger, and a huge long right divine monkey phantom appeared in the void. Wukong let out a roar of excitement. As it grew bigger, he wrapped his left hand around the dragon's neck, and raised a punch with his right hand against the severely injured area of the dragon. Hua Kai felt that the Hua's luck was reduced by 2 million points. The last 4.1 million points are left, which has fallen below the red line. After one blow, Wukong's figure shrank quickly, and finally fell from the sky with the dragon. Hua Kai hurriedly flew to the whereabouts of Wukong and caught him. Wukong, little monkey, Hua Kai called to Wukong, feeling that its breath was weak and inaudible. Its entire left hand had disappeared, the bones of its right hand had been completely shattered, and the whole right arm had become bloody. Especially its entire body, the right chest lacks a large piece of meat, and the broken breastbone can be seen. Hua Kai held Wukong back to the family secret realm space. He took out a zhongling and opened Wukong's mouth and gave it to him, but Wukong had no consciousness and couldn't swallow it. More than 20 core members of the Hua family were waiting in the chamber. When Hua Kai came back with the seriously injured Wukong, everyone surrounded him. Hua Xing put his fingers on Wukong's neck and shook his head gently. He could no longer feel Wukong's pulse beating, and everyone was watching all this quietly. No one said anything. Hua Kai looks at Wukong's attributes. Wukong. Long right god monkey, 8th tier 3 floor. Strength. 73. Agility. 75. Intelligence. 78. The will of gold. Level 5, 99%. Skills. Agility, foresight, keen sense of hearing, great power for food, attribute transformation. Supernatural powers. Extraction of origin, divine and devil's great physiognomy. Owner. Hua Kai, China National Guardian Beast. Loyalty. 100. Status. Dying. Hua Kai can still see Wukong's attributes. He is in a state of dying. He is worrying about Wukong and suddenly realizes something is wrong. With such a serious injury of Wukong, his ribs are clearly visible, but there is no blood flowing out for a while, and he is thinking about Hua. Kai saw that Wukong's broken breastbone was slowly recovering a little bit, and its wound had begun to scar after just a while. Grandpa, try to input Golden Will for Wukong. Hua Kai said to Grandpa. Wukong had taken the 100 death pill. Hua Kai knew that Wukong did not die so easily. Feeling a faint Golden Will aura rising around Wukong's body, Hua Kai estimated that Wukong needs to replenish Golden Will, and there is no spiritual chi or willpower in this living room. Hua Xing put his hand on Wukong's chest and injected a Golden Will into his body. Hua Kai saw that Wukong's injury was recovering again. His breastbone had recovered and returned to his body, and his entire left arm was slowly recovering, and his right arm, the place where the limb was severed, began to grow slowly. Wukong is absorbing the power of my Golden Will. He is not dead, he is still alive. Hua Xing said happily while continuing to input the power of will. The core members of the Hua family were all happy to hear this. Although Wukong is a monkey, he is one of the core members of the Hua family. With it, the demonic beasts can be quickly eliminated in Hua Kai. If Wukong falls today, China's high-end combat power has been reduced by more than half. Grandpa, you and all the members of your family who have the will of gold take turns to input the power of will to Wukong. We were fighting with the flood dragon along the coast of Yan Kingdom. I don't know if the dragon is dead, let me go and see. Hua Kai said after looking at Wukong's attributes. It turned from dying to serious injury in just a while. Maybe he shouldn't have brought Wukong into the family secret realm space just now. Maybe it absorbed Golden Will in the air to recover. Might be faster. Leaving the space, Hua Kai saw that the sea was quiet under his feet, and countless blood water stretched from his feet to the distance. The Jiaolong was in this area as a big demon, and all the slightly spiritual creatures in the sea would not approach it, so temporarily Hua Kai is safe. He doesn't need to be afraid of being attacked by demonic beasts in the sea. Jumping into the sea, Zhang Huakai approached slowly along the sinking direction of the flood dragon. He was not sure if the flood dragon really died, so he did not dare to directly probe mental energy. The dragon was 100 feet long, nearly 10 meters thick. Huakai saw that the opponent fell on the bottom of the sea. In fact, this place was still a plain a few hours ago. The weeds and trees on the seabed were floating in the slightest seawater flow, and the dragon was already inverted. There was a hole the size of a bucket, and there was not much blood oozing out. Huakai came to the Jiaolong and made sure that the other party was dead. He looked at such a huge demonic beast's corpse and didn't know what to do. The corpse of an intermediate demonic beast is worth at least 200,000 gold, and the corpse of the big demon is even more difficult to estimate. The dragon scales, tendons, skin, gentian, dragon meat, dragon blood, heel, dragon horns, etc. of the dragon are all useful. Huakai used the gentian gun to try to disassemble the dragon, but he could only get a piece of dragon scales off with true qi. He tried to pull the dragon's corpse out of the water, but at most he moved the smaller half of his body. There is no weapon that can decompose the dragon. Huakai thought about it and returned to the family secret realm space. Grandpa, Wushu and other core members of the family who understood Golden will have tired faces. Huakai saw that Wukong's whole body injuries had been scarred, but his right hand had not yet grown. The dragon is dead, but the body is too huge. My Gentiana gun can't disassemble it. It took us too much effort to kill it by chance, but it can't be cheaper for other demonic beasts in the sea. The Beihai movement is so big today that many gold core realms and sages in the world can check it out. We must transport the Jiaolong back to China before they arrive. Grandpa Wafu, you go and remove everyone on the Huacheng Fu ship. I will take the Fu ship back in a while. Nothing but the Fu ship can pull this big demon. Shui Chen, you organized all the foundation building realms in China, and quickly came to the North Sea on a horse to support. Fortune ship needs more than 200 talents to open it. I think we have more than 40 foundation building realms to pull this dragon ashore. It is also fine. Huakai ordered to everyone. Your Majesty, do you want to ask Daguo, Zhongshengguo and other dependent countries to establish foundation building borders? Shui Chen asked, looking at Huakai. Come on, give them a horse, and come to Beihai as soon as possible. We can't hide the matter of killing the big demon. Now we have to transport the dragon back to Huacheng as soon as possible. Safe, Huakai said. My lord, I am in Yuncheng of Lu State. Do you want to invite King Lu together? Hua Zichen asked. As a foundation building realm, King Lu had a great accomplishment, and he was able to handle 3 ordinary foundation building realms alone. Come on, Lu is our loyal ally. This time the Hua family obtained such a big monster's corpse. This time, it should be shared with friends. Notify the Patriarch Ujumukan of the Yu clan and the Patriarch of the Zhongnu National Iron clan, and let them also bring foundation building environment support. Huakai said. 87%. Chapter 492. Lingbao class building ship. Soon, all the core members of Huakai were busy organizing people to go. This time it can be said that the Hua family has gathered all the forces above the foundation building level, all to ensure that the corpse of the big demon can be safely transported back. Huakai returned to Jiaolong. He came to the sea and saw that Luma was a little bit unable to hold on in the air. He hurriedly flew to Luma, who injected true qi into Luma, and then he slowed down a little. Let Luma watch here. Huakai hugged Wukong out of the family secret realm space. Just out of the space, Huakai could feel countless golden will all around him coming to him, and Wukong's injuries were declining. The speed of recovery can be seen by the naked eye, and its original lost arm is slowly growing out. This pill of remaining death is indeed a 7th grade elixir. Seeing Wu Qi's breath slowly stabilized, the entire right arm had grown in half an hour. Wukong's entire body was golden yellow. Huakai felt that the time was almost the same, put Wukong on Luma's back and entered the family secret realm space. Hua Fu is already waiting for him. All the personnel on the Fu ship have been cleaned up, and there is no time to clean up the items. Huakai's spirit went deep into the sea of consciousness and communicated with his own masterpiece water margin. The ship disappeared instantly on the central lake of Huacheng and entered the original water margin. Huakai returned to Luma again. He stretched out his hand and the boat slowly grew bigger, and finally turned into a giant ship of more than 400 meters and stayed on the open ocean. Huakai and Luma stopped at the boat. Splint. Taking out a bundle of rope from the space, Huakai took out one end and tied it on his body. While holding the other end, he jumped into the sea and tied it to the dragon's horn, then returned to the splint. Mental energy controlled the movement of the building. Rope can't bear the weight of Jiaolong at all. After a busy period, he took out hundreds of the strongest ropes from the family secret realm space. Wakai tied the dragon, and he tried mental energy to control the giant building and ship to the west, and the dragon moved slowly. He began to be pulled up from the bottom of the sea. Huakai general mental energy urged Lu Chuan to move westward, his face flushed red, and the dragon's body was slowly pulled up. The corpse of the Jiaolong left the bottom of the sea, floating in the water, being dragged by the boat, and slowly heading westward. It has been more than an hour since the death of the Jiaolong. Maybe some demonic beasts came over to check it out. Huakai wants to transport this huge Jiaolong. It's not easy to walk. Struggling to drive west for more than a kilometer, Wakai felt that mental energy was not enough. He quickly took out a spiritual pill to restore mental energy to take. Soon he felt that mental energy was recovering quickly, and the speed of the boat was slow. Slowly and smoothly, the mental energy consumed by Huakai also began to shrink. Lu Chuan took the body of the dragon and walked for 5 hours. At this time, Tang Lei also came with more than 20 people from the foundation building of China. Lu Chuan still had a big target at sea. They rode to the plywood of the Lu Chuan, tie the god horse to the splint column, and after a brief exchange with Wakai, he went to the bottom of the cabin to help. There are more than 200 pedals on the left and right sides of the ship under this building. In addition to Huakai's own mental energy, which can control the movement of the hull, other people can also use their feet to make the hull sail. Huakai's pressure has been reduced a lot, and the speed of the shipbuilding has also begun to accelerate. This shipbuilding is made of mental energy. If it is damaged, the ship's hull disappears and becomes the origin of the world and returns to this world. Therefore, as long as it is not deliberately destruction, no matter how strong the foundation building is, it cannot damage the pedal power system. The eastern sea area of Yan State was submerged for more than 500 miles. Wakai controlled the direction of the boat. The more the east was, the shallower the water would be. He felt that the dragon's tail was about to reach the bottom of the sea, so he could only continue to speed up. When it hits the sea, the whole building will sink even more when driving. Huakai estimates that there is still more than 300 miles from the shore, and the chance of encountering demonic beasts in shallow waters is greatly reduced, but the probability of encountering explorers above the foundation building of other countries will inevitably increase. Now it is possible to try to get the dragon's corpse. Towing to the shore is the most important. 2 hours later, Shui Chen led more than a dozen foundation buildings in Jialiu City. In the evening, Hua Zichen and King Lu brought more than a dozen foundation buildings from Lu. At the time of Shuxi, all the foundation building borders of the dependent countries of China in Zhongshan County also arrived. Everyone knows the preciousness of a dragon's corpse. Now they are racing against time. Transporting the corpse of the dragon to Huacheng as soon as possible is their only goal. Huakai must give such a powerful corpse of the dragon. Some of them, even a few dragon scales and some dragon skins, are very precious. At the third moment, the sea was already dark. Huakai explored here only more than 20 meters from the bottom of the sea. Even though the ship was driving fast on the sea under the full push of 60 foundation buildings, the dragon's tail still touched from time to time. When you reach the bottom of the sea, every time you touch the entire building, the ship will shake violently. The horse on the boat was swayed on the splint, and it was about 60 miles away from the shore. My lord, this ship is too fast. It used to be a mountain forest in the country of Yan. If the ship hits a mountain, our entire ship will capsize. Qing Jirtai managed China National Summer the transportation of Zhongda Canal, said to Huakai. It's okay. As a spirit treasure, the building is not that easy to damage. Tonight, we must be close to the coast for 10 miles. Otherwise, we will be in trouble when we are in the sea when the demonic beasts catch up. Huakai has been paying attention to the building in the afternoon. The situation around the ship has now appeared with Tier 6 sea beasts. They followed behind the dragon's corpse and ate the blood spilled from the dragon's corpse. There were also some sea beasts biting the damaged place of the dragon's corpse, but with their strength, they couldn't deal with it. The dragon's corpse caused damage, but if demonic beasts came, the crowds of demonic beasts in the sea would be dangerous. Huakai mental energy throws toward the front of the boat, and specifically selects the deep sea to drive. In this way, the dragon hits the bottom of the sea from time to time, and the whole boat shakes violently. An hour later, the dragon's tail was fully supported on the bottom of the sea, and the speed of the boat could not help but drop. The whole boat was too sinking because it was dragging the 100-meter-long dragon. Sometimes half of the dragon's body hits a mountain on the bottom of the sea, and the entire hull as it was dragged into the bottom of the sea, and then under the control of Huakai, it jumped more than 10 meters and flew out of the sea. Some of the sea beasts chasing after the dragon, half of their bodies jumped out of the sea with the dragon, and at this time they were still 20 miles away from the coast. A strange sound came from the sea. The foundation building at the bottom of the building was stepping on the power board of the building. The people in the foundation building could not help but lift their willpower to resist. This is one, only demonic beasts in the sea. The smell of blood is coming. Don't pay attention to everyone, this demon is going to me. Everyone rushes to the coast with all their strength. Don't stop now. If you stop upstairs, the boat won't get up. Let's get closer to the coast and transport the dragon's corpse ashore. It's easy, Huakai said loudly to everyone on the boat. Everyone heard that the whole body of True Qi was also transported here, and the speed of the ship suddenly increased a bit. Huakai came to Jiaolong and saw that demonic beasts was a white dolphin-like demonic beasts, but its more than 10-meter long body, 1 foot long teeth and big mouth made it difficult to compare it with linked with dolphins. Huakai took the gentian gun and jumped into the water. He used sweeping Shayi to cover up his own breath, and while inspecting the situation in front of the ship, he controlled the ship to move forward. The demonic beast saw Huakai go into the water and did not feel any dangerous aura. It killed the tier 6 sea beast in front of him in one bite, and then swam towards the dragon's scales, making that strange noise while marching. All when the sea beast heard this, it seemed to be drunk, swimming around in the sea, and it took the opportunity to come to the point where the dragon is against the scales. The flesh and blood of the great demon is a great tonic for any creature, and it is much stronger than the immortal grass elixir. Huakai pulled his hand on the dragon's horn and watched the demonic beasts come over. He leapt towards the demonic beasts, and the demonic beast seemed to feel the crisis. It opened its mouth to Huakai, and the will of water rushed towards him. Shrouded and went away, attacking Huakai. However, Huakai was not affected by his willpower at all. The demonic beast suddenly felt that his whole body was unable to move, and his whole body was imprisoned by ice crystals. Without waiting for the reaction, Huakai's gentian gun had penetrated its unclosed mouth. This demonic beast was instantly overwhelmed by the power of endless ice, and lost consciousness before he blew himself up. Huakai took the demonic beasts into his portable space, and then quickly boarded the ship's splint. The whole process only took 2 minutes. After solving the demonic beasts, the dragon body was not destroyed, which aroused more demonic beasts' ideas, and Huakai put all his heart into the driving of the boat. It was another half an hour, and the night was already deep, and the boat was only the last 5 miles away from the coastline. 80% of the entire dragon corpse was on the bottom of the sea. The maximum power of the full-floor boat allows the Jiaolong corpse to be closer to the coast. Boom! With a loud noise, the bottom of the ship had hit the ground. Many horses on the ship had been knocked out, and everyone in the ship had been knocked torsion. Everyone go forward with all their strength, leave everything else alone. Huakai shouted to everyone. Such an impact is not enough for the ship to be injured. Huakai took another spiritual pill to restore mental energy. He began to build a submarine ice bridge for the place in front of the ship that had hit the rocks, and the ship followed Huakai. The will of ice, the ice bridge built by the force of the ice, continued to slide forward. Several foundation building realms who understood the will of the wind began to push the ship forward with all their strength. Almost the entire dragon's body was pulled on the ice. Glide on the bridge. The speed of the building boat began to slow down slowly. The water depth in the sea ahead was only about 10 meters. The entire dragon was dragged by the building boat and began to slide forward on the ice. Huakai's mental energy was seriously consumed. He heard the ice surface just formed in front of him. There was a sound of crushing ice, and he gritted his teeth to keep the ice from cracking. 87%. Chapter 493. Huakai condenses the ice in front to make the boat glide as far as possible. All foundation buildings do not need to step on the pedals at this time. They and all the gods are pulling the boat as much as possible on the ice. A few steps, but with such a large ship, dozens of people have little effect even in the foundation building environment. The ship finally stopped after hanging out for more than a kilometer. Everyone jumped off the boat and led the horse to the soldiers. There was still more than 2 miles away from the coast, and it was already very close. Normal sea beasts couldn't reach this place. Huakai asked people to untie the rope from the ship on the building. As soon as he stretched out his hand, the ship turned into a palm-sized model and disappeared in his hand, leaving only a huge dragon lying motionless on the ice, some sea beasts. Still biting on the corpse of the dragon, I have been taken on the ice all the time. Looking at the ice surface where the dragon glided, there are sea beasts and fish jumping on the ice. It's not time to rest. We are only 2 miles away from the coast. Transporting the dragon to the coast will accomplish more than half of our mission. Hua Kai said to everyone. Everyone also knows the meaning of the corpse of a big demon. Just when everyone is curious about such a big dragon, which is more than 300 meters long, Hua Kai has any way to get it ashore. It is not easy for them to pull such a behemoth. I saw that Shui Chen took out a piece of wood over 1 meter thick from the dragon carp inkstone space. Several foundation building realms lifted the Jiaolong section by section and put a rolling log under it. More than 100 rolling logs look like the same. Like more than 100 groups of cars, when all the rolling logs were put in place, more than 60 foundation building people finally moved Jiaolong's body with pushing and pulling. As long as you can move this thing, you will be able to walk. Everyone has exerted enough effort and all the rolling logs finally rolled up, and the 300-meter-long flood dragon began to move forward slowly. Shui Chen was responsible for placing the rolling logs in front of the dragon. Someone collected the rolling logs from the rear and gave them to Shui Chen. After walking for hundreds of meters, the direction of the rolling logs started to deviate. Several foundation building realms were responsible for changing the direction of the rolling logs. Everyone has been busy. After more than an hour, he finally made most of the Jiaolong's body go to the coast, and the remaining half was because the front was an uphill. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get up. But in this way they no longer fear the demonic beasts in the sea. Now it's the high time. Hua Kai put the boat on the shore and let everyone and Shenju enter the boat to rest. They started with Shui Chen and Wamo next to the dragon's corpse. Negotiate. Brother, we people simply can't bring such a large dragon corpse back. The ground is not as good as ice, and a piece of wood can roll. This dragon can't move even if it pulls tens of thousands of BMWs. Wamo stationed under the head of the dragon, looking at this huge dragon, said to Hua Kai. Such a big monster, even if it takes a lot of effort, we have to transport it back. We have deployed all the forces that can be deployed. If we can divide this dragon into 10 segments, I can also put these into the dragon inkstone space. If you can't disassemble it, you must find a way to send it back to China first. Shui Chen said at this time. Now is the task of transporting the corpse of the dragon, right? Can we transport the dragon ashore from the deep sea, but can't we still send it back to China? It's also very easy to send the dragon back to China, you too. Hua Kai saw that everyone used the rolling logs to send the dragon ashore this afternoon, and he couldn't help but think of the railroad tracks for later generations. As long as you get a railroad track, the dragon will also be sent back to China. Simple. Besides, Wamo has a mountain and river map that can transform the terrain, and a simple train is not that difficult to make. Hua Kai told the Hua family how to own, and everyone started to get busy when they heard it. There is still 1,600 miles away from Huacheng. Kai's plan to transport the Jiaolong back, what needs to be prepared? On November 10th, when the first ray of sunlight rose in the early morning, the front of Jiaolong had already become a flat road more than 10 meters wide. The road above turned out to be a thick layer of stone, with wooden rails in front of it. Built under the dragon, the wooden track is about 8 meters wide, enough to put down the bound dragon. The foundation building on the coast is lifting up the Jiaolong section by section, placing a piece of thick wooden boards under it. These wooden boards are 8 meters wide and only 2 meters long. There are 2 dense rows of 1 foot high under the wooden boards. Car wheels. These wheels were originally used by the Yecheng carriage workshop to install carriages, but they were all brought here by Shui Chen. Everyone was busy together. At noon, the Undead Legion arrived. In the afternoon, thousands of Chinese Shantian masters arrived. Everyone started to make car bodies, or tracks, in batches, so the speed finally got faster. I was busy until the evening, when the 300-meter-long Jiaolong was placed on more than 60 special pallets. These pallets were tied together with ropes, and the densely packed wheels on both sides were placed in a special ground card slot. As long as the car rolls in, it is difficult to get out. Hua Kai sees that all preparations are in place. Although the railroad tracks have only been laid for more than 700 meters, they are already trying to pull the dragon up. Thousands of horses were fitted with ropes, and the rope was pulled in front of the train. Everyone worked hard together, and the horses could easily pull the dragon up. The entire dragon's body left the coast and all entered on the flat ground, but the sea track disappeared as soon as the dragon's tail exited the sea. The entire dragon was stopped on a half slope, and the person in charge of every section of the train quickly blocked the wheels of the car with something. Don't let the train go back. Huakai is also delighted to see here. Now all the problems have been solved. It depends on how long it took them to return to China. In the middle of the night, everyone in the building was discussing how to speed up and send the Jiaolong back. They remembered that China had obtained a complete corpse of the big demon. Until now, everyone still feels unreal. The most recent record of beheading the great demon in the spring and autumn of many countries is the ancestor of the Zhou family who once stepped into the realm of the god of transformation. The probability of the Zhou kingdom was more than 860 years ago. The human race killed the dragon only appeared in ancient legends, and it has been more than 10,000 years since now. The Hua family can not only cultivate a large number of powerful men, but also forge a large number of high-end weapons and armors. China and the Hua family will inevitably become famous in the world and directly become the existence that rivals the Qin state, and even surpasses the Qin state. China National Wild City Carpenter Workshop is making every effort to make wooden tracks for them. Shui Chen is responsible for sending these things from Yecheng to here. Shui Pan and Qing Jirtai took Lingbei to find good stone materials, and placed the stones on the road after Huakai's transformation according to Huakai's requirements. Huakai and Wamo have been separated. Wamo has recorded the terrain all the way, and recorded the terrain under his feet to China City. For the first time, Huakai transformed all the land into a wide avenue, and then transformed the stone material to the top of the new road. Someone started to erect the rails in the rear. The used rails on the ice surface in the rear were installed in the front, and everything was in the front. In an orderly way. In the evening, Huakai felt that several foundation building scenes were being explored more than 10 miles north of Luchuan. They sensed that their huge powerhouse aura did not dare to provoke them easily. So many masters Yan Guo did not want to conflict with them, or even dare not to provoke them. Send someone to ask them. Huakai asked Shui Chen to take someone to wrap the entire dragon corpse in cowhide, so that anyone would not be too surprised to see it. Huakai went to negotiate with these Yan Guo foundation building. The Yan Guo led the Yan family foundation building. In the past few days, Yan Guo suffered a tsunami unprecedented in a century. They saw the appearance of a big monster in the North Sea. Huakai and Kong Zisheng fight against the big demon, but they cannot go to the sea 500 miles away without the god horse or the strength of the gold core. Yesterday, when the boat of China was driven to the shore, Yan Guo was embarrassed when he found the body of the dragon. It is unrealistic to say that you don't want to share a piece of the pie. After all, this great demon 10 appeared in the territory of Yan State, and nearly 100,000 people were drowned off the coast of Yan State. The corpse of the dragon is so big, it stands to reason that Huakai should give them something. On the other hand, Huakai killed this great demon to save the people of Yan Nation. They did not do anything. Now that they are close to the Jiaolong, it would be a provocation, and they would be unrighteous to fall into Yan Nation. They would not dare to return to Yan Wang. Provoked China. Huakai knows that by tomorrow, the experts from various countries who come to check here should come slowly. Today, the Yan State Foundation building is just the beginning. No one is unwilling to look at such a large dragon corpse. Huakai thinks about Yan Guo. Flew towards the foundation building. Yan Guo Foundation building saw Huakai coming. The first reaction was to escape, but in the end there was no leader of the Yan family to organize. I have seen the King of China. The leader of Yan State and all foundation buildings in Yan State saluted Huakai. The widow made a lot of hard work, and luckily killed the big demon dragon who was in trouble in the country of Yan. Now we are working with the monarchs and allies of China to find a way to send the dragon back to the country of China. The body of the dragon is too big, please reach out for your help. Huakai said. Yan Guzhong Foundation building heard that Huakai actually asked them to come forward to help, and couldn't help but feel happy. Yan Guo is also an ally of China, so participating in the help will naturally have a share. In the early morning of November 11th, Patriarch Tifa brought 4 foundation building and more than 20 Shantian people to the late stage. When Patriarch Tifa heard that China needed help, he pulled out all the horses. The foundation building was not enough in Shantian, and the late stage was able to help. After they arrived at Leopard Yuguan at midnight last night, they just gave the horses a little more forage. Going eastward, it took 2 days to cross 5,000 miles and finally rushed to the beach. Less than an hour after the arrival of the friends from the Huns, several foundation buildings from Qi also came to investigate, but they did not see Zheng Chan Sage. Huakai asked Qi Guo Foundation building to help. Such a big dragon has a share. As long as it can be safely transported back to Huacheng, China will also gain a large number of allies this time. 87%. Chapter 494. On November 11th, after 2 days of hard work, the road above the Jiaolong train has been paved for dozens of miles, and the track is now also paved for thousands of meters. China National Wild City is still manufacturing tracks. This track is erected. The longer it is, the less time it will take for Jiaolong to send it back. After all the tracks were laid, nearly 10,000 people around the Jiaolong train began to push the train forward. Thousands of horses pulled the train and walked in the middle of the track, and the whole Jiaolong moved like this. Seeing such a huge flood dragon being pushed forward by everyone, many people couldn't help screaming with joy. 10 minutes later, when the kilometer track was finished, the Jiaolong train could only stop. Everyone fixed the train so that it would not move. Everyone began to dismantle the track behind and install it in front. The whole project was proceeding in an orderly manner. Huakai tried his best to make the road straight ahead. Everyone knows what they blame for pulling the dragon. You don't need to worry about Huakai. At noon, Zhao Guojingqi and the 20,000 vermilion bird soldiers finally arrived. The project started quickly, and the 1,400-meter track was quickly laid, and everyone can push the train forward without horses. Until the evening, the Jiaolong train traveled a distance of 1,800 meters again, so today it has traveled about 7 miles. The more the Yecheng track is completed, the longer the distance that the track is laid each time. The Jiaolong train, it takes longer to walk every day. On November 13th, the Jiaolong train was already 24 miles away from the coastline. Each time they increased their tracks, they would travel farther. Huakai was assigning missions to the Vermilion Bird Corps and Zhao Guojingqi by the track. Suddenly, he felt a sense of oneness. A strong breath came from the southwest. Huakai put aside his work and stared into the distance. Many foundation building realms such as Qinglu and Shuichen also came to Huakai. The powerful willpower ahead is only owned by Qinzheng in this world, and Qinzheng is here. Qinzheng is riding a black horse. This is a Ningchang horse from the Chang nationality. This horse has short legs and big kicks. The strength and endurance are very good. It is suitable for riding in mountainous places. Pai is also a horse, otherwise he would not be here in 3 days. Huakai watched the mighty Yingzheng slowly approach, and finally he was about to face Qinzheng. He was about to fly into the sky and was stopped by Wamo and Shui Chen. The Vermilion Bird Army watched Qinzheng's appearance and hurriedly Huakai gathered in the direction, and Qinzheng could only use a large amount of low-level troops to consume the opponent. At this moment, the Vermilion Bird Legion did not retreat. Don't worry, King Qin may not be malicious. Huakai is confident that he will not be killed by Qinzheng. When the opposing emperor arrives, he is so incapable of letting his subordinates protect himself, which is detrimental to the emperor's reputation. Brother, you can't go. Then Qinzheng won't come when the dragon is in trouble. We only came when we sent the dragon to the land. Isn't this picking peaches? What else can he do besides the corpse of the dragon at this time? We won't give him a scale. He can get it himself if he wants. Wamo said so. All the soldiers of China are serious and determined, and the soldiers of Qin Gorui can die for own king. How can they cherish their lives? At this time, the Yan family foundation building flew towards Qinzheng. This is where Yan Guo, as their masters, should welcome the arrival of the strongest in the world. However, Qinzheng ignored the negotiations in the Yan family's foundation building. He kept his eyes on Huakai, as if he was making a choice. The meaning of this dragon is related to the future of a country. If China is allowed to win, the strength of China is bound to rise sharply. Huakai's strength will quickly ascension, and Qin will usher in a stronger opponent than Chu. King China, I haven't seen you in 13 years. I don't want you to grow up to such a degree, but you dare to come up and talk to this king. Qinzheng's voice sounded, and everyone heard clearly. The King Qin arrived and should have been greeted. But this king and Kong Zisheng tried their best to kill the dragon to be transported back to the country. Time is not waiting. If King Qin wants a story, this king will wait for King Qin to arrive in Shacheng. Huakai thought for a while. He still obeyed Wamo's words, and now their 60,000 people are busy transporting the entire flood dragon back together. No matter how strong Qinzheng is, he will be alone. He doesn't have to risk fighting with Qinzheng at this time, and he still tries to keep his cards out of Qinzheng's sight. It's good to know what Qinzheng is. Everyone knows how powerful Qinzheng is. No one will laugh at him when he refuses to fight. Do you think you can't do anything about it if you hide in the crowd? This dragon is the first big demon captured by the human race in thousands of years, but China is not exclusive. Divided into your thousands of dragon scales and tens of thousands of caddies of dragon meat, this dragon will be handled by the state of Qin. Qin Zheng's voice remembered from high above. Ha ha, this dragon was killed by this king, why should you deal with it? If I don't give it to you, do you want to snatch it? Hua Kai couldn't help but sneer when he heard Qin Zheng's voice. The world's spiritual treasure is home to those who have virtue. China has only been established for 4 years. What power has this dragon alone? The state of Qin, protects more than half of the people in the world, and should take charge of the people on behalf of the sky. King of China, you want to do heaven defying. Are you against this king? Qin Zheng looked at Hua Kai and said in a deep voice. Qin Wang Daishan, is it bullying the people to kill the people? Is it to allow the human city to be broken by the wild beasts? Or to kill the human race gold core for hegemony? Burning 100 classics and burying the world's scholars? Hua Kai looked at Qin Zheng asked back. Hua Kai, I think you are a rare talent in the human race and cannot bear to kill you. Qin has done something for the entire human race. When the widows dominate the world, they will surely kill all the barbaric beasts in the world and restore the eternal peace of the human race. At that time, everything that Qin state did was worthwhile. Qin Zheng said that his heart was already burning with anger, and everything Hua Kai said was true. It is impossible to take down this dragon easily today. The king of Qin doesn't dare to disagree, and all the conclusions are made by the people of later generations. The corpse of the dragon is here, and the king of Qin wants to pick it up. After Hua Kai finished speaking, he asked all the core members of the Hua family to be careful, if Qin Zheng come attack and hide in the family secret realm space for the first time. Hua Kai floated in the air and watched quietly, letting Hua Mo and Shui Chen continue to arrange people to lay the tracks, as if Qin Zheng did not exist. Thousands of vermilion bird core soldiers surrounded Hua Kai. They looked firmly at Qin Zheng in the distance. As long as Qin Zheng dared to come down, they would fight each other desperately. Hua Kai, this king only takes the dragon pill, dragon heart, and dragon horn, and the rest belong to China. Qin Zheng shouted. Hua Kai ignored it. Today, if Qin Zheng dares to take action and is on his own side, the different ways of handling Qin and China can be compared and praised by the people, and he is not threatened. It depends on how Qin Zheng deals with it. Suddenly Hua Kai felt that his body was imprisoned by a powerful force of will. This force of will was not worse than that of the great demon flood dragon. The soldiers around Hua Kai suddenly couldn't move. Hua Kai saw Qin Zheng suddenly kill him. Come, Cao Shayi escaped from the other's confinement, his 6-layer ice force acted on Qin Zheng, and the two finally fought against each other. Hua Kai saw that Qin Zheng took out the great Sha Dragon Sparrow, which was a high-level spirit treasure known as the Divine Armament No Elements Mountain, threw it to Qin Zheng. Boom! 5 Elements Mountain collided with large Sha Lonk. Hua Kai did not let his own soldiers go to death, but took the lead in attacking Qin Zheng. After the aftermath of the impact, Hua Kai was already in the air. He used 30% of his willpower for the strike just now, plus the blessing of 5 Elements Mountain. A lot of politics. Qin Zheng. 9th floor of Gold Core Realm. Qualification. SSS. Physique. 84. Strength. 81. Will. 82. Soldier. Sage. Taoism. Giant. Confucianism. Everyone. Talented supernatural powers. Unforgettable. Destiny Tyrant. King's Heir. Invincible in all battles. Dark Wool. The 7th layer. 12%. Mind. Martial skill. Loyalty. 21. Status. Seriously injured. Hua Kai checked Qin Zheng's attributes during the process of retreating. The other party did not break through the God realm, but seeing his 3 attributes, he had already entered the level of God's transformation. Hua Kai knew that when the 3 attributes reached 80, it was a hurdle. It is indeed strange that there is no breakthrough. His aptitude is SSS level. No one in this world should be able to compare with him except himself, but why does the system show that he is seriously injured? Qin Zheng saw Hua Kai fleeing with a single blow, his eyes fixedly looking at himself, and his whole body felt uncomfortable. There are many people in this world who have talented supernatural powers, but he guessed that Hua Kai possesses supernatural powers such as the strength, state, and luck of people. I couldn't help but anxious, and hurried to chase Hua Kai. Hua Kai flew into the air and flew to a height of 1,000 meters. He saw Qin Zheng Great Sha Dragon Sparrow beheading him. This strike has already brought Qin's national destiny with him. This is to directly kill Hua Kaiyu. Under the knife. Hua Kai looked at the other party directly attacking the killer, and without a word, his figure disappeared in place, and Qin Zheng slashed into the empty space. 60,000 horses under the sky were laying their tracks quickly, and everyone was relieved to see Hua Kai disappeared. As long as Hua Kai was fine, Qin Zheng would be useless no matter how powerful he was. He would never dare to kill all the people below. In fact, what everyone fears most is Hua Kai and Qin Zheng. A core member of the Hua family saw Hua Kai disappear and disappeared quietly. He made eyes for Hua Kai and told him that he could not leave the family secret realm space yet. Qin Zheng waited in midair for a while before Hua Kai appeared. He flew towards the dragon, trying to get away the most precious part of the dragon. Such a big dragon can't put his will space down, and he can't put storage spirit treasures in this way. Huge stuff. But how could the 60,000 army let him succeed? When Qin Zheng approached the dragon, thousands of army jumped to the important part of the dragon, and as soon as Qin Zheng came down, there were countless weapons to kill him. For Qin Zheng, these attacks were like a baby holding a small wooden stick. He didn't care at all. The 7-layer dark will envelop the soldiers below. Hundreds of soldiers were unable to move. He quickly flew towards the dragon's scales. 87%. Chapter 495 Human Race Future. The soldiers who were imprisoned by Qin Zheng could not move, and one after another slipped down from the body of the dragon. Qin Zheng Great Shalong cut 3 meters below the inverse scales of the dragon. This is the place of the dragon pill. Zhaolong's body was cut with a hole more than a foot wide, and he was pulling out the great Sha dragon sparrow to deepen this gap and digging out the dragon pill bit by bit. There were countless soldiers in the Qi training realm and even the pneumatic realm in the distance. Leaping towards him, Qin Zheng waved his hand and was imprisoned in the air by 100 soldiers, but more soldiers were killing him like missiles. Qin Zheng did not dare to kill these soldiers. He could imprison hundreds of people at most. Some of the soldiers who killed him had just been imprisoned and slipped from the corpse of the dragon, and countless soldiers continued to kill him. He just kept imprisoning them. The soldier fell to the ground, and at this time more and more soldiers approached him. Qin Zheng didn't have time to use Big Shalong to slash the dragon a second time. He began to be squeezed by the constant attacks of thousands of soldiers. Some soldiers even injured each other by accident because of the crowds. Everyone didn't care, and definitely couldn't let Qin Zheng take away anything. Qin Zheng was made impatient. A soldier slashed Qin Zheng with a big knife. He was counter-shocked by a black true chi for several meters and fell to the ground. He shouted in excitement, stood up and continued to Qin Zheng. Kill Qin Zheng with a single knife, he can be bullshit for a lifetime. More and more people attacked. Qin Zheng began to be filled with soldiers from China. These soldiers either jumped from the bottom to the top, or jumped in the direction of Qin Zheng, or attacked from a high altitude. Qin Zheng could not imprison thousands of people. In the end, he was surrounded by a pile of people, and Qin Zheng was surrounded by everyone. In this way, there are countless soldiers around to kill Qin Zheng. Qin Zheng is protected by his own strength of will. These soldiers are still unable to launch an effective attack on him. If he wants to kill these soldiers, it is easy to kill, but how dare he kill? So let alone continue to dig the dragon pill, it is difficult for him to move his body. He saw that some people were dying by their companions in order to kill themselves. Many people were accidentally injured and killed by their comrades. At this time, he was imprisoned in such a crowd. It had no effect anymore. Some soldiers slashed and killed his true chi hood with weapons, only to spit out blood without stopping. Finally, a soldier was killed by a shock after cutting Qin Zheng's true chi hood. Qin Zheng felt that his karma had increased a bit. Although this was much worse than direct killing, it also annoyed him. Qin Zheng wanted to move down to one side, but in his own move, he squeezed 2 soldiers to death, and his body's karma increased. He knew that the most important thing for him now was not to provoke karma easily, but if he didn't move his karma to increase continuously, he would increase more quickly, let alone dig a dragon pill in the dragon's body, it would be difficult for him to move it. Hua Kai appeared hundreds of meters away from Qin Zheng. He saw that the Vermilion Bird Legion was dying to protect the dragon corpse. Nearly 100 people died in that moment, but none of the Vermilion Bird Legion retreated. As a king, he is very happy to see here. A soldier can forget his life for the sake of the country, and the country will inevitably become stronger and stronger. After being happy, he blamed himself again. As a king, he couldn't resist the opposing king. He could only use the lives of ordinary soldiers to protect the dragon's body. He was not a qualified king. Qin Zheng watched as more and more soldiers attacked the own Vermilion Bird Legion, and his karma increased faster and faster. If this went on, he would only become more and more passive, and it would be possible to be consumed by these soldiers to death. Qin Zheng thought of this and got up and flew into the sky. This time, more than a dozen soldiers were killed. Some of the soldiers above his head were flying tens of meters high by him. After falling to the ground, Qin Zheng gained more karma in his body, a bit. Looking at the crazy soldiers at their feet, they had left and they were still yelling at themselves. There were more than 200 soldiers who died in front of him just now, of which only about 40 soldiers' death had something to do with him, so his karma value was ascension. After a lot, Qin Zheng couldn't help frowning. He hovered in the air and looked down. It would be impossible to force such a forcible attack. Although the gold core realm was powerful, the weaker the enemy was, the more afraid he was. Qin Zheng watched the Azure Dragon core collect the dead body, and the others went to build the track again. Thousands of people were left standing on the body of the dragon, staring at Qin Zheng from a distance. As long as he dared to come down again, the soldiers would attack him as soon as possible. King Qin knows why the people of Qin State respect you so much. Hua Kai came to Qin Zheng and asked softly. Qin Zheng knew that Hua Kai had a way to escape from the confinement of his own willpower and could escape into the secret realm space. He could only kill the opponent with one fatal attack, so he didn't want to deal with Hua Kai. You really have the right to speak with me on an equal footing. Isn't it normal for the people of Qin to respect King Qin? Can't the people of China die for you? Qin Zheng said as he looked down and stared at the owner. Ordinary soldier. There is a difference between the two of us. My people know that I can make their families live a better life. I can make their children literate and read and live a happy life in China. And I did it too. They even if it is dead heart is calm. Because the people of Qin State believed in King Qin, even if they were hungry, they would send food to the frontiers and send their family children to the battlefield. When you saw Qin Bing die one by one, what did you think of King Qin? Hua Kai attacked Qin Zheng's weakness in this way. Today, Qin Zheng has already attacked him. The two countries are already enemies. Any attack method does not need to be hidden. Hua Kai said this from a humanitarian perspective. It is also Qin and China. Different. Everyone in China's soldiers knows that serving as a soldier is to protect the country and protect the stability of the people of the country. Everything they need is given by the king. They protect the king is to protect their own family members and protect the entire country of China. The soldiers of the state of Qin were serving as soldiers to gain military merits, thereby gaining their status as ascension. Perhaps some people were for the ambition of Qin Zheng's hegemony. There are 3,000 avenues, there are many roads leading to the goal. Qin's road may seem very narrow, but how do you know that it is not the fastest road to the end? Qin Zheng returned. If the road is very difficult, then the goal is really that important. Has King Qin thought that that goal does not exist? We just think that the road is boundless, and we think of a goal for it. The most important thing is actually to living in the moment. Has King Qin ever wondered what kind of life the human race would be like if the demonic beasts, wild beasts, and even spirit beasts in the world were all wiped out? Hua Kai said. Qin Zheng was silent when he heard this. Hua Kai said a lot of things he had never thought about. If Qin had not started the road to dominate the world, what would it be like now? If Qin only fought for peace in the world, what is it now? What kind of scene will the human race be like? If the human race returns to the ancient barbaric state, what kind of comments will future generations give to themselves? It's nothing more than a conclusion of success or failure. Only when the world is unified can the human race concentrate on eliminating the wild beasts. Without war, some human race mobs cannot be eliminated, and the human race cannot become stronger step by step. Without breaking or standing, the human race can continue to grow stronger only in constant struggle. Qin Zhengdao. Then if the human race is unified and the wild beasts are wiped out, how can the human race fight? Hua Kai asked softly. Qin Zheng wanted to speak, but in the end he didn't say a word. He quietly looked at the busy crowd below. Destroying all savage beasts and humans would of course lead a happy life, but he couldn't say that. In the long history of human development, demonic beasts and desolate beasts may only be regarded as an obstacle to human development, and the human race's road is far longer than we thought. Their biggest opponent is actually themselves. We don't need to give they point out a right path, as long as they can give them hope to continue fighting. King Qin Zheng, China can promise the world not to take the initiative to attack any country and lead the entire human race to glory, can you believe it? Hua Kai said. Qin Zheng was silent. I can let aristocratic families, scholars, craftsmen, civilians and even slaves be respected in China, and let everyone live here in peace and happiness, can you believe it? Hua Kai asked twice. Qin Zheng was silent. I can make the whole world human race constantly self-improvement, transform the world so that the whole world develops more harmoniously, all things coexist in the world, can you believe it? Hua Kai asked 3 times. Qin Zheng continued to be speechless. A black thread on his head kept overflowing. Hua Kai felt that Qin Zheng's willpower was a bit unstable. Qin Zheng could not answer Hua Kai's words, because as long as he opened his mouth, he would admit that Ondao was wrong. Qin is still the most powerful country in the world, and everything will be unknown in the future. When the barren beasts in this world are stable, this world will become the world of the strong. If the number of wild beasts increases, the number of wild beasts will increase. Demonic beasts will be several times more than before. The strong human race harvests these demonic beasts, and uses these demonic beasts' resources to cultivate the human race Tianzhao, making the human race gold core realm and even the transformation of the gods more and more. How about this? The human race lives by the city, the monarch cleans up the whole world demonic beasts, the entire human race relies on these wild beasts and wild beasts to temper themselves. Qin Zheng said his own idea. If this is the case, there will be fewer and fewer weak people, lower and lower human fertility rates, more and more wild beasts, and fewer cities guarded by humans, even if everyone can easily defeat the wild beasts. The beast, the human race themselves have also withdrawn from the position of the protagonist of heaven and earth. And what if there are more and more demonic beasts in the world and the Terran gold core can't be eliminated? Has the entire human race withdrawn from the stage of history? Hua Kai said that Qin Zheng was speechless, and the migrating people retreated to the big city. It was a regression of mankind, and it was all caused by Qin Zheng. 87%. Chapter 496. Race Against Time. Qin Zheng left. He saw that more than 60,000 people were fully transporting the Jiaolong corpse, and left without giving him a chance. Hua Kai returned to the ground with a smile on his face. Today, he communicated with Qin Zheng that he suppressed Qin Zheng. It is not weak last time talking about it. I believe Qin Zheng can change because of this, try to preserve the overall strength of the human race. In the early morning of November 13th, Patriarch Ujumukan led 6 Yushi Nation Foundation buildings to arrive. In the past few years, there has been a large supply of elixir from the Chinese family, and the number of their high combat strengths has also increased. So close to the People's Foundation building, and 60,000 soldiers built the track with all their strength, and they have traveled more than 50 miles by now. The distance they traveled yesterday was 17 kilometers. Now their track is more than 6,000 meters long, and they can move the dragon 3 times a day. Everyone has become more skilled at laying tracks, and their speed is at ascension every day. There was a big river ahead. When the track was laid here, the big river had already been changed. The road ahead had been changed to a flat stone base road. When the Jiaolong train crossed the river, Hua Kai changed it again. When I came back, a big river just passed. Hua Kai had just discussed the route back to Huacheng with Hua Mo from the front, and Tang Lei found Hua Kai anxiously. My lord, after Qin Zheng left as the day before yesterday, he went to Linzi City. King Qi had been invited to Qin by Qin Zheng. Zheng Shen Sage left Qi without whereabouts. Many families in Qi surrendered to Qin, and some families have fled Qi regions directly under the jurisdiction of the country. Tang Lei said to Hua Kai. The King Qin is showing to me that he can make King Qi surrender so easily, so that it would be dangerous for the Lu kingdom to suffer from the enemy. The kingdom of Yan does not have the king of Yan, and does not have the strength to fight against the kingdom of Qin. If the kingdom of Lu is broken, then only we and the kingdom of Chu will have the ability to fight against Qin, but we must not allow the kingdom of Qi to attack the kingdom of Lu. Hua Kai frowned and said, Brother, maybe King Qin imprisoned King Qi for the purpose of this dragon. I think it is impossible for Qin Zheng to give up the dragon. Hua Mo said. If King Qin is for the flood dragon, then it is absolutely not enough to rely on the aristocratic families of Qi state who take refuge in Qin state. They will inevitably stop us on our way forward. Qin State Foundation Building Realm and Blood Dragon Guard must be dispatched. After Hua Mo finished speaking, Shui Chen came to them and said, he just went back to Yecheng to get the track again, and every time he came back, the next time he came back, he would always be able to lay an extra kilometer. If this is the case, then we must be careful. Let people pay more attention to the situation around the Shiji road ahead and pay more attention to the changes in Qi State. Hua Kai said. Hua Kai sighed. Qin Zheng's biggest trump card is his strength, which is a power that can crush everyone. Although he is still in the gold core realm, his 3 attributes are already at the level of God transformation. Gold core may not be able to kill him if he blew himself up. Hua Kai and Qin Zheng talked so much. Everything at the core is the people, the human race, but he underestimated the role and influence of a high warrior. 4 points of the power of a country in this world lies in the monarch, 3 points in the overall strength of the country, and 3 points in its influence. Qin Zheng alone, Qin won 4 points before a fight, which is too terrifying. If King Qin's goal is really the corpse of the dragon, then he will definitely need to dispatch Qin masters, and Qi must deploy more than 100,000 troops. We all know the strength of Qi. The main combat force does not exceed 300,000, and more than 100,000 are still in lieu. It will take at least 5 days for them to gather the remaining capable soldiers. From Qi to our nearest the planned road is more than 1,800 miles, which takes nearly a month. And we have almost entered the position of Yanshan in a month, and Qin Zheng is bound to stop us in Yanshan. Shui Chen analyzed. Everyone nodded. After entering China, it would be more difficult for Qin to compete for the body of the dragon. The only way to enter China in the south is Shachang, and the rest of the country must cross a 100-meter wide canal. How can this country be allowed? The other party gets through easily. Order the Yu's cavalry regiment and Qilin regiment to be ready to respond. No matter how the Qin state deploys, the force is definitely weaker than ours. The key is to look at the combat power above the foundation building level. Hua Kai said. The most precious part of this dragon is the dragon pill and the dragon heart, and the dragon horns. It is easier for Qin Zheng to convene the foundation building to capture the dragon pill and the dragon heart. Hua Mo can't help but worry about it. Brother, if Qin Zheng just came to take away the dragon heart and Long Dan and kill a large number of our soldiers in the foundation building realm, how can we resist? Hua Mo said. Qin has not many magic horses, and Qi has no magic horses. It takes at least 6 days to ride a BMW from Qin to here. Hua Kai couldn't help thinking about it. The best way today is of course to use both dragon pill and dragon heart. Several people negotiated here and started to act. Shui Chen asked Yecheng to speed up the production of the orbital spirit wood, dispatch carpenters from each city to Yecheng, and then send all the orbital wood as soon as possible. Hua Mo is responsible for laying the tracks for 60,000 people, so no time can be wasted. Hua Kai entered the family space weapon shop, and he checked the 8 spirit soldiers that could be refined. Among them, the most suitable for cutting the dragon skin belonged to the 7th rank spirit weapon Dark Destruction Knife. This dark killing knife is used by a character with a dark attribute, which can obliterate a certain true Qi and will power defense. Its sharpness is the strongest among Huakai's forging spirit soldiers. Dan and Dragon's heart was dug out, but I don't know how long it will take. Click Forging Darkness Knife. Hua Kai saw that the family luck value, which had finally risen to 7 million points, dropped to 4.8 million. In the past few days, he has closed the right to use all family luck values. Even everyone's trial rights have been taken back, and the Hua family's luck value is so low that it has reached the limit. Hua Kai can't be careful. Dark Destruction Knife is a short soldier. Hua Kai puts Dark Destruction Knife into his portable space and brought it to Jiaolong. He can only vaguely detect the location of Long Dan with mental energy, and then let people take this segment of Jiaolong. With the body up, it is easier to cut from the belly of the dragon. The diameter of the dragon is 10 meters. Hua Kai's Dark Destruction Knife slashed across the abdomen of the dragon, and a shallow trace was drawn on the dragon's scales. It is impossible to divide the dragon without dealing with the dragon's scales. Injecting true Qi into the Dark Destruction Knife, Hua Kai saw the position and pierced into a gap between the dragon scales, and he tried his best to run the whole body with true Qi, and finally the dragon scale was taken off by him. Hua Kai successively showed more than 10 of the weakest dragon scales in the dragon's abdomen. As a result, his true Qi was almost consumed. He took out a big Huan pill and took it, and the gold core quickly ran true Qi and then it slowly filled the body. Hua Kai continued to work. It took 3 hours to dig out a 2-foot diameter circle. This work could not be done without the gold core level. All the dragon scales were put into the portable space by Hua Kai, and high-quality armors could be made in the future. A circle of dragon scales was removed. Hua Kai had full-strength Dark Killing Knife to pierce the part where the dragon lost the dragon scales, and Dark Killing Knife only pierced more than 3 inches. Hua Kai spoke with all his strength about the dragon skin that lost the dragon scales. He swiped past, but his whole body of true Qi and willpower were almost exhausted within an inch, and he could only stop and rest. Until the evening, all the soldiers had returned to the ship to rest. Huakai was still cutting the dragon skin under the dragon's belly. After a circle of dragon skin was cut, Huakai was relieved. The dragon meat in the dragon skin is much easier to cut. Huakai cut out hundreds of caddies of dragon meat in an hour. He only cut the hole more than 1 meter deep, which is about 3 meters away from the location of the dragon pill. My lord, let me try. Go and rest for a while, Tang Lei said from the side. It's more difficult to deal with dragon scales, cut dragon skins, and decompose dragon meat than to fight against the intermediate demonic beasts. Huakai handed the dark destruction knife to Tang Lei. He took 3 big Huan pills today, and it is now effective. It's almost gone, and I must take the body clearing pills to deal with erysipelas in my body, otherwise I can't take any medicine pill. After waiting for 2 hours, Huakai got up and his whole body was refreshed. His body was restored to its best condition. When he came to the cutting area of the dragon, Huakai saw Tang Lei sweating profusely under the stomach of the dragon. He only put a foot under him. It's too difficult to cut the dragon meat for about 1 kilogram. Okay, let me come. Tomorrow is the 4th day. After Long Dan has dug, he will continue to dig the dragon's heart. The Qin State Foundation building may be able to come by Haodian. Huakai said. Tang Lei returned the dark destruction sword to Huakai, and hurried to the side to meditate to recover true qi. Huakai picked up the dark destruction knife and continued to work. If the foundation building of Qin State arrives and Huakai does not hold Qinzheng's strength, there are only 2 ways to deal with the enemy. The first is to let the own elite army resist with all its strength, so that the Vermilion Bird army will inevitably suffer heavy casualties. The second is to let the foundation building realm, Vermilion Bird Legion and the Zhao Kingdom's fine cavalry army fight against each other. Qin will inevitably kill the foundation building realm of the Chinese side. Then he can only kill the other foundation building realm. In this way, both sides must suffer heavy casualties. Huakai didn't want to choose between these 2 roads. There are nearly 100 people in the foundation building of China. If there is a war with Xinjiang, Yan, Zhao, the dependent countries, and King Lu will certainly not contribute. The only one who will die is the China Foundation building environment. Therefore, he must entangle Xinjiang and let the foundation building of China rely on the advantage of numbers, and eliminate as much as possible of the foundation building of Qin, so that later battles will be easier to fight, and the loss of China will be less, and it must be replenished in the shortest time. The best way for body strength is to take dragon heart. The dragon's heart contains most of the flood essence of this dragon. This is the blood essence of a great demon. Huakai will inevitably ascension his physique if he takes it. However, Huakai's physique is the worse now. If his strength can ascension, relying on Cao Shayi entanglement with Qinzheng may be longer, so after obtaining the most precious dragon pill, Huakai must take out the dragon heart as soon as possible. At night, most people had gone to rest, and only a few patrol personnel were still patrolling around the dragon. The temperature became more and more cold at night, and in the middle of the night it started to snow. Today is November 13th, and the snow comes much earlier than last year. Huakai's mind is all on digging the dragon pills. When it's dawn, everyone starts laying tracks again, and Huakai climbs into the body of the dragon. In the middle, he is not far from Long Dan's position. 87%. Chapter 497. There was only 1 foot away from Long Dan. Huakai had dug more than 4 meters deep, and now he had to enter the dug hole completely before he could continue his work. Climbing out of the huge gap in the dragon, Huakai took out a dozen caddies of meat and gave it to Tang Lei, who was aside. He had to rest for a while and restore some true qi, spirit and willpower before he could enter. Master, Wukong is awake, Tang Lei reported to Huakai. Yesterday morning, Huakai saw that Wukong's right arm had fully recovered. The system showed that it was only slightly injured, but he had not been awake. When Wukong was awakened, Huakai also laughed. Wukong is fine and everything is easy. Squeak. A familiar voice came, and Huakai saw Wukong approaching him. It saw the pieces of dragon meat that Tang Lei was holding, and it had to take it with his hands. Let it take it. It seems to want to eat this dragon meat. Huakai said that Tang Lei stopped hiding, and placed a plate of dragon meat in front of Wukong. Wukong took out a small piece and put it in his mouth, chewed it a few times and swallowed it. Huakai felt that Wukong's original loss of blood qi suddenly recovered a lot. After Wukong finished eating 1 piece, he picked up a bigger piece and continued to eat. In a short while, a plate of more than 10 kilograms of dragon meat was eaten raw by Wukong. His whole body was full of blood qi, his complexion became ruddy, and his momentum was not much worse than that of the victory period. After eating more than 10 catties of dragon meat, Wukong saw the hole under the dragon's abdomen, and went to bite the dragon's meat with his mouth. Its teeth were much stronger than the darkness knife, and soon the dragon's meat was covered by it. Bite out a large tooth print. These dragon meats, you can have them eaten after they are prepared. The big monster meat can only be eaten at half the foundation building level. All soldiers can only get a small piece. It is not good for them to eat too much. Hua Kai said arrive. This dragon meat is not easy to make. Even if it is cooked, it will not be able to chew it without the strength of Shantian level or above. Hua Kai took out more than 400 catties of dragon meat dug from yesterday to now, and let Tang Lei take it and cook it. The edible big monster meat has miraculous effects, which can be regarded as such a hard reward for everyone. The stomach that Wukong ate was round, and he sensed that the dragon pill was not far in front, and it happily crawled to the dragon pill position. Hua Kai hurried over to hold it when he saw it. If he let it eat the dragon pill, he would be in vain on this trip. He remembered that the 100 death pill that the family had worked so hard to refine was eaten by Wukong. My heart is extremely uncomfortable. If that 100 death pill is taken by oneself, he must already have the strength to contend with Qin Zheng. Lifting Wukong's leg and pulling it out, Hua Kai ignored Wukong's dissatisfied hiss. He crawled into the hole and started digging towards Long Dan. An hour later he finally dug Long Dan. This dragon pill was about the size of a fist, and it was filled with a strong will to water. Hua Kai put it into the portable space first to avoid any accidents. Watching Hua Kai put away the dragon pill, Wukong screamed in a hurry. Hua Kai probed Wukong's attributes and saw that its injuries had been fully recovered, so he was relieved. A few big wooden pots have been set up not far away. Tang Lei took the soldiers from the Undead Legion who were specifically responsible for cooking meat. Soldiers below the aura level could not refine the dragon meat, so they could only drink some soup. Passing by the cauldron, dozens of foundation building agents were responsible for breaking the meat into small pieces and putting them in the pot a little bit. It is not so easy for this dragon meat to be cooked. The position of Dragon Heart is tens of meters away from Long Dan's position. Hua Kai must start to find a suitable place to break the dragon scales. Wukong stayed at the hole just now, and went in for a few mouthfuls from time to time. Its stomach was always round and grunting. Lose. In the evening, the Jiaolong train had been more than 20 miles away in the morning, and several large pots had been moved to the head of the Jiaolong to continue heating. I don't know how long it would take the Jiaolong meat to be cooked. Hua Kai asked Tang Lei to set up a few more cauldrons and gave him all the more than 100 catties of dragon meat dug out today. It was snowing for a whole day today. Although it was not very big, all the soldiers were busy laying tracks in one day. For more than 10 miles, it was too tired, and it was time for everyone to taste such a big dragon. On November 15th, the snow began to fall and heavier. Hua Kai pried all the dragon scales apart, cut off a 2-foot diameter dragon skin, and began to dig up the flesh one after another. As he became familiar with the firmness of the dragon meat, his cutting speed became more stable now. In just one night, he dug a 2-meter deep hole, and it seemed that he could dig the dragon's heart in about half a day. And Qin Zheng has left for more than 4 days. If Qin Zheng is only for Dragon Pill and Dragon Heart, then the Qin State Foundation building is about to arrive. Hua Kai must hurry up. There is no sign of Qi's army mobilization. If Qi is already in the winter, if you want to dispatch a large army, you have to think about the damage. So it has been determined that Qin Zheng is only to capture the Dragon Core and Dragon Core. The dragon horns are much harder than the dragon skin. Hua Kai tried it. He estimated that he would not be able to take the dragon horns down in a few months. The government wants to take away the opportunity. On the night of November 15th, after more than a day of simmering, a strong smell of meat wafted around several cauldrons, but it would take at least 1 day and 1 night to be cooked. I have added water to the country no less than 10 times in more than a day. Many soldiers couldn't help but look at this place when they were carrying the rails. The enthusiasm for eating in the past few days has not been as high as before. At noon on the 16th, Hua Kai finally dug into the dragon's heart. He dug directly into the dragon's abdomen and put the Jiaolong's heart, liver, and lungs into his portable space. Coming to the family space chamber, Hua Kai took out the heart of the dragon, which was much smaller than Hua Kai imagined, only more than 1 meter long, but even so he couldn't take it. After taking the dragon heart, the body's strength increased sharply, and the system was greatly increased. These are legends that no one has really verified. So the heart of the dragon is still beating slightly, which is similar to the legendary dragon heart, except that the legend is to be taken directly. How can you take it so big? Hua Zichen couldn't help but said as he looked at such a huge dragon heart. The effect of the dragon heart should not be wrong. This has been rumored since ancient times. The people we have heard of taking the dragon heart are all at the same level as the legend and the big demon. Is it possible to transform the dragon heart directly into the dragon heart? The longer the dragon heart is placed, the less the effect will be. Shui Chen said. This dragon heart is stumped for everyone. If it doesn't work, it can only be disassembled and simmered slowly, but I heard that the dragon heart is still faintly beating, and it hasn't been directly stewed. When Huakai thought of transforming the gods, he couldn't help but think of the power of true qi, spirit, and will generated by the people of China to condense gold core on the day of the founding of China. After so many years, he has been constantly ascension of gold. Core solidity, the actual power accumulated in gold core has not been used once. Huakai's hand gently approached the dragon's heart, and the combined force in the gold core slowly injected into the dragon's heart. He didn't want the dragon's heart to really start to shrink, and the heartbeat of the dragon's heart became more obvious. Everyone was surprised to see this. Huakai continued to input this kind of synthetic power. The energy in his gold core continued to decrease. In 5 years, Huakai finally changed from virtual pill to khaki. I don't want to have it again now. The meaning of blur. Regardless of the gold core changes, Huakai's dragon heart has shrunk to the size of his fingernails. Huakai uses mental energy to control it to float in the air. Huakai can feel the strong energy in the dragon's heart, and this dragon heart can finally be taken. Huakai checked his realm and dropped to the second floor of the gold core realm. In order to condense this dragon's heart, he dropped 2 short ranks. Huakai tried to put the dragon heart in the portable space, but couldn't put it in, indicating that this thing is alive. He entered Wu Jingjai and put the dragon heart in his mouth, only to feel that the dragon heart turning into a special energy to enter his heart beating more and more powerful, his whole body blood qi is getting more and more abundant, the powerful blood qi transforms his body, the power of will and true qi are driven to walk around whole body. Huakai knew that he could not stay in the family secret realm space. Family secret realm space without the power of will and spiritual qi, this dragon's heart is doing a full-scale ascension to himself. His figure flashed to the track-laying site and found a place to release the building ship. Too late to explain to Tang Lei. He entered the highest floor of the building and started to meditate. Tang Lei, Hua Mo and others saw this, knowing that Huakai needed to quietly absorb the energy of the dragon's heart, so they sent more than a dozen foundation building and 500 undead soldiers to guard around the ship, while others continued to lay tracks. They seized the time to send the dragon back to Huacheng as soon as possible. In the past few days, they have seen more and more beasts. In the early morning of the next day, Huakai sat quietly on the top floor of the ship, and Tang Lei didn't dare to leave for a moment while sitting beside him. Huakai's heartbeat sounded like agitating, and Tang Lei could hear clearly even more than 2 meters away. At this time, the door of the room was gently opened, and an undead soldier sneaked in and said something in Tang Lei's ear. Tang Lei waved him out. The various will powers and spiritual qi around Huakai are constantly surging, and it can be seen that the strength of this dragon heart to Huakai is certainly not small. Slowly the sound of Huakai's heartbeat began to weaken, and the spiritual qi and willpower around him began to dissipate. Huakai slowly opened his eyes. Wang, how do you feel? Tang Lei hurriedly stepped forward when he saw Huakai greeted him. Haha, very good, really worthy of the legendary dragon heart. My physique ascension is very big, I want to refine this dragon heart, the strength can still have ascension. Huakai said with a smile. Huakai. Gold core level 6. Qualification. SSS plus. Physique. 80. Strength. 76. Will. 79. Xuanbing will. The 6th layer 87%. Resistance. High-grade ice antibody 44%. Supernatural powers. Illusory world, power of dominance. Novelist. Sage. Confucianism. Everyone. Taoism. Everyone. Mind method. Meditation Ju Tian level advanced mind method Zochin. Marksmanship. Split air spear, sky level advanced marksmanship, great perfection. Saber technique. 18 swords, sky level advanced saber technique, great perfection. Mind method novelist, basic copywriting skills, Tian level intermediate mind method Zochin. Special mind. Great dream ideas, God level Dacheng. Special skill. Real eye cannot be upgraded. 88%. Chapter 498. After taking the dragon heart, Huakai's physique not only went from 72 ascension to 80, but his vigor value was also 2 ascension. Now he has entered the 6th floor of the Gold Core realm. The gap between each level of entering the Gold Core realm is very large. Huakai feels that his strength is several times higher than that of the previous ascension. The physical ascension has reached the limit of the Gold Core realm at 80 points. He is now the worse than True Qi. After the physical ascension, he will not need it. After spending True Qi to temper the body, his vigor value can also ascension faster. That's good. Shui Chen tried it just now. The dragon meat is cooked and ready to eat. Lord, shall we start dividing the meat now? Tang Lei asked. Let everyone stop laying the tracks. Let's eat the dragon meat on the boat. Hua Kai said. Aren't we laying the track? Tang Lei asked puzzledly. This snow is getting bigger and bigger, and there will definitely be casualties if it goes down. How can such a big snow Qinzheng send a large army, at most, send high battles above the foundation building level? Ascension of my current strength, it should be easier to cut the dragon. If the dragon is cut into 10 parts, Shui Chen should be able to send it into the dragon inkstone. Hua Kai said. Tang Lei nodded, and went out to send an order for everyone to enter the building, and stop laying the track. He carried more than a dozen cauldrons upstairs and asked everyone to line up according to their strengths. Each foundation building realm was allocated at least half a caddy of dragon meat, and Shantian realm was divided into half. This dragon meat is better than raw meat after it is cooked. Many. Hua Kai took the dark destruction knife to cut the cooked dragon meat very easily. The 2 caddies' big piece of meat was divided into 2 pieces, Hua Mo and Shui Chen each. The Wahia Foundation building is naturally at the forefront. After that, there are more than a dozen foundation buildings from the affiliated countries of the Wahia, and then a series of allies such as King Lu. Everyone can bite the dragon meat, slowly chewing and taste the difference between this big monster meat and the demonic beast's meat that has been eaten. Seeing that everyone was taking the meat, Wukong hurriedly turned around Huakai. Huakai threw a small piece to it, and put it in the mouth to reach out. Huakai threw it a pound of dragon meat, and Wukong hugged it in his arms and gnawed it. Everyone present did not eat as fast as he could. A large piece of meat quickly entered his stomach. Huakai looked at it. Seeing Wukong's bulging belly, he didn't dare to give it to him anymore. The little guy was anxiously turning around the pot, reaching into the pot to get it by himself, but it was hot and yelling. After more than 400 caddies of meat were divided, Huakai only left about 10 caddies for himself. There were still a few big pots of meat that were not yet cooked. Tang Lei and the undead soldiers began to give the broth and their minced meat to ordinary people. The soldiers were divided. Because more than a dozen cauldrons are big, everyone can taste a little, and seeing everyone tasting the delicious dragon meat, Huakai picked up his own meat and tasted it. First of all, the dragon meat is hard to chew, but it doesn't feel fire at all. It feels like chewing demonic beasts, which ordinary people can't eat. After eating, there was a warmth spreading in his stomach. Huakai felt that the meditation art worked on its own. He ignored the True Qi reaction and continued to swallow the dragon's corpse. When the 2 caddies of dragon meat were eaten, he meditated on his mind. According to the formula, True Qi began to move quickly in his body. The dragon flesh turned into silk. True Qi made his True Qi stronger and stronger. Huakai didn't need to temper his body. All the energy of the dragon flesh basically turned into True Qi replenishes close to his body, which is more than 100 times faster than his own cultivation. The room on the 6th floor of the ship was full of people, and there were more than 30,000 people parked around the ship. Everyone sat quietly and began to meditate. In the heavy snow, everyone's face was red. Huakai stopped eating and ate all 10 caddies of dragon meat in 1 hour. Many foundation building realms had not eaten all the meat yet. They put the meat into their own volition and can taste it slowly in the future. Such snow makes it more difficult to lay the tracks. Let the soldiers take turns to enter the building and rest. Huakai said. Everyone in the Chinese family began to organize soldiers to rest. The foundation building lived on the 6th floor of the tallest ship. It would not feel very cold inside the ship. The Vermilion Bird Regiment and the Jiao Guojiang Cavalry Regiment could only take turns to enter the ship to avoid the cold. Huakai came to the dragon. He took out the dark destruction knife to the head of the dragon, and started to pry the dragon scales along the inverse scale of the dragon. This time his physique ascension has become a lot, and it feels easier to pry the dragon scales. In one breath, he actually pried off the entire dragon head circle of dragon scales. Putting this circle of dragon scales a day ago, he might have been busy for a day, but now it was caused in about 10 minutes. Hua Kai took the dark destruction knife across the dragon skin that lost the protection of the dragon scales, and the dragon skin was he opened it easily. Hua Kai made a few more laps along the dragon skin, and the dragon meat was cut deeply by him. He just ate the dragon meat and the whole body of true chi continued to flow, so he didn't need to rest, so it only took 5 hours. After noon, only the keel was cut from the dragon's head 30 meters away. When the hardest time came, Hua Kai used all his strength to cut the keel with only a small mark. He shaved off all the meat between the keel and the spine, and then spotted a gap with the dark killing knife passing through it. I felt that the weakest part of the keel spine that was more than 1 meter thick was only a few inches wide. He worked hard for more than an hour before cutting a gap of more than an inch. This would have to cut off the entire keel. Days. Wukong came to the Jiaolong. It lay on the top and looked at Hua Kai earnestly, and saw Hua Kai cutting the keel with the dark destruction knife, and imitated him. Goku, come down. Hua Kai saw Wukong and said to him. Wukong jumped down. Hua Kai handed the dark destruction knife to Wukong's hand, pointed at the notch mark he drew, and said to Wukong, you are also in the gold core state. I can't let me eat so much dragon meat in the past 2 days. Work alone. Go and cut it off for me. After Wukong heard it, he took the dark destruction knife and gently touched it on the keel, and saw that there was no change on the keel, and then it slashed it down again, and a shallow trace appeared on the keel. Wukong seemed dissatisfied with its results. He raised the dark destruction sword above his head, and a powerful golden wool gathered dark destruction sword all over his body. The knife was more than 2 inches deep into the keel. Yes, just do it, cut it off hard. Hua Kai saw Wukong using golden wool. The effect is not much stronger than him, he shouted to Wukong. Wukong was praised and made his knife more vigorous. He swung dozens of knives continuously. 1/3 of the fragile part of the entire keel had been cut off. Wukong was panting with exhaustion, and Hua Kai dropped a purple gold coin. To Wukong, Wukong took the purple gold coin and put it in his mouth, swallowed a few mouthfuls and laughed with satisfaction. You can't just take the money and don't work. You can only rest after cutting the keel. Hua Kai looked at Wukong and said to him. Wukong looked at the remaining gap. It picked up the dark destruction knife and circled it in the air. It seemed to feel so slow and laborious. It raised its hair and let out a strange roar, and the countless strength of will between the world and the earth began to go to Wukong. Gathering, Hua Kai saw Wukong's figure keep getting bigger. Wukong thumped his chest with his left hand and let out an angry roar. When Wukong was injured, Hua Kai also saw that his last 2 talents had been unlocked, but it was the first time he saw Wukong use it. I saw Wukong's body muscles bulge, and after his figure grew to 10 meters, the huge golden will was injected into darkening knife, and the darkening knife also grew bigger. Wukong seemed to be in pain all over his body, and he roared continuously, and all the soldiers around the building could not help but look over. Many people on the boat in the foundation building environment saw the giant ape that suddenly appeared, and felt the strength of this giant ape. When they saw Hua Kai standing next to him, everyone basically guessed that the ape is Wukong, but it's just not. No, when Wukong learned to grow bigger. After Wukong grew bigger, he slashed at the gap. The entire dragon head was separated 30 meters from the front and back. The entire dragon's lower body was divided into 2. The sword slashed on the ground, and a half-meter wide crack was opened on the ground. 100 meters. After Wukong finished cutting this knife, he quickly shrunk. Hua Kai saw here hurriedly approaching. Wukong, don't rush to get smaller, chop this dragon into a few more pieces. Wukong didn't care about Hua Kai. He changed back to his original appearance. He rolled his eyes tiredly while lying on the ground. Hua Kai pulled its tail several times and didn't lift it up. It seemed that Wukong's growth also required energy. Hua Kai took out the darkness knife that had become smaller in Wukong's hand, chopped off a large piece of dragon meat at the cutoff point of the dragon, and placed it next to Wukong. Quickly, eat some dragon meat to make up. Let's continue to work after making up. Hua Kai said to Wukong. Wukong opened his eyes and rolled his eyes, turned his head to ignore, and pointed his finger in the direction of the boat. This is still going to eat cooked meat. Hua Kai thought for a while. This winter's ascension true chi eating dragon meat. Let everyone eat a few more mouthfuls of dragon meat, not only to keep out the cold, but also to fight when the enemy comes. The ones that can be here are those of China's national energy are the most elite. Soldiers, of course good things are for their own use. Hua Kai asks all foundation buildings to go to the Jiaolong section to cut the meat. Most of them can only cut off small pieces the size of a finger egg, but this is just right. It is well cooked in the pot and no longer needs to be divided. It is more than 43 meters in diameter. The cauldron keeps rest, let everyone eat enough. Many years later, some soldiers remembered the days when they followed the Chinese emperor to divide the dragon meat together, and they still remembered the smell of the dragon meat in their lifetime. Huakai asked Shui Chen to try whether he could put the 30-meter-long dragon head into the dragon carp inkstone space. Shui Chen tried a lot of effort to put it into the space, a dragon of this size. About 75,000 shi, which is 750 tons in weight. Watching Shui Chen take the dragon head away, Huakai continued to own the division of the great cause. He asked Tang Lei to serve Wukong himself, and treat Wukong like an uncle. He would give him a lot of gold and put it in front of him, as long as Wukong eat enough. Huakai drew more than 30 meters in length, and used the dark killing spear to remove the dragon scales, cut the dragon skin, and cut the meat to the keel bit by bit, and then went to the next place. 88%. Chapter 499 The First Decisive Battle. In one day, Huakai cut 2 more 30-meter-long dragon segments, leaving the last bones. He removed all the meat from the bones and waited for Wukong to chop the bones. Returning to the building, Tang Lei and a few undead soldiers were surrounding Wukong, handing him all kinds of food. Wukong left a piece of dragon meat weighing a pound in his left hand, and a green plum in his right hand. Ns. Wukong, you even eat and drink. I haven't rested for a busy day. I will cut off the keel later, otherwise there will be no good food. Huakai said. When Wukong heard Huakai say this, he turned around and ignored him, but his mouth didn't stop for a moment. Huakai saw that Wukong's mental energy had not recovered yet, and this increased consumption seemed to be a lot, so let Wukong take a rest for the night. Returning to the room and entering the dream space, Huakai mental energy has fully recovered within an hour. He got up and brought a few Chinese foundation buildings to the Jiaolong corpse and continued to decompose the Jiaolong. In the early morning of the next day, Huakai separated the 3 sections of the dragon's body scales, the dragon's skin, and the dragon's flesh. Now the 5 sections of the dragon's bones have not been separated. At this time, Huakai saw Wukong walking by surrounded by many people. Huakai checked the attributes of Wukong. Not only did its breath recover completely, realm also went from the 3rd tier ascension of the 8th level to the 4th tier of the 8th level. A small rank went from the low-level ascension of gold core to the intermediate level. Ascension of any rank in the gold core realm it is very difficult. Wukong is here. Hurry, get bigger and chop off all these keels. Huakai handed Wukong darkening knife. Wukong looked at Huakai, pointed at the keel in the distance, then pointed at Huakai, and said to him something that no one else could understand. Huakai knew that. He cut a piece of purple gold coin. Wukong want a salary. Okay, no problem, Wudin will give you 5 purple gold coins, hurry up and work. Huakai said. Today is the 6th day. If Qin Zheng was to dispatch a master from Shenyang City, today would be almost here. He must take away all the dragon's corpses as soon as possible. When Qin Zheng arrives, he sees that the dragon is gone, and there will be no conflict between the 2 sides. Necessary. Wukong took 5 purple gold coins and put them in his mouth and quickly eaten them cleanly. Seeing how he enjoys them, many people wonder if purple gold coins are really that delicious. After Wukong finished eating, he took the dark destruction knife and gestured in the air. He asked everyone to move away, and then the familiar scene appeared. Everyone inside the Lu Chuan came out. They watched Wukong getting bigger and bigger. Huakai felt that the family luck value was increasing rapidly. Wukong represented the strength of China, and China had a strong gold core state. This in terms of high-end combat power, it is no weaker than Qin. Just for a while, Huakai felt that his family luck value ascension was more than 700,000, and the speed of his family luck value ascension slowed down. Wukong has grown up to over 12 meters tall, which is stronger than he looked like yesterday. It held a high dark killing knife and slashed at the weakest part of the keel. The keel was cut by half of the gap, and the second knife was cut accurately at the original position. The entire keel was cut directly, and a large part of the track below was damaged, but only 1 foot underneath. The chaotic cracks, obviously Wukong's power control is much better than the previous ascension. After cutting this keel, Wukong seemed to be hesitating. Huakai saw it hurriedly yelled to it. Goku continues, only 1 is cut, and there are 4 more. Wukong had already run out of strength. Hearing Huakai said that it came to the second keel, raised the dark destruction knife and cut it off with a single knife, and saw that the keel was cut with a single knife. Hua Kai felt that the family was lucky. Suddenly it was less than 300,000. This guy actually used his chi luck value directly. Hua Kai just earned more than 700,000 chi luck value. At this moment, his chi luck value is still growing rapidly. He directed Wukong to go to the third keel, and Wukong cut the first one with a single knife. With 3 dragon bones, his figure began to shrink rapidly, and Wukong actually used 800,000 chi luck to go down with this sword. It seemed that he really couldn't hold on anymore. Shrinking Wukong's whole body tiredness, lying on the ground unwilling to get up, but its condition is much better than yesterday. Hua Kai touched Wukong's head, the other party closed his eyes and didn't want to move. He asked Tang Lei to send Wukong back to the boat. It was delicious. Waited on. Shui Chen took the second section of the dragon into the dragon carping stone space, took out a pill and quickly took it. Every time a section of the dragon corpse was collected, Shui Chen's mental energy would almost be consumed, and Hua Kai couldn't wait for him for half a month. To restore mental energy, it is most important to go directly to the spirit pill and quickly take away the dragon. Hua Kai continued to pick up the dark destruction knife and began to get busy. The soldiers were idle and chatting on the boat. The most talked about them was the transformation of China and Wukong. How much could they give Hua Kai some family affair value? After the 6th cutting point was determined, Hua Kai had just finished picking up the dragon scales, and he felt that there was danger about to come. He looked to the south, a figure riding on a horse. Looking at this place, it wasn't who Qin Zheng was. As expected, Qin Zheng still didn't give up. Hua Kai stopped what he was doing. At this time, a patrol also spotted Qin Zheng's figure. Thousands of people quickly surrounded the dragon, and bursts of emergency whistles sounded. The soldiers outside the building quickly walked towards the body of the dragon. They quickly surrounded the body of the dragon. Some soldiers began to jump on the body of the dragon, preventing Qin Zheng from sneaking. The members of the foundation building of China are also hidden among the soldiers. This is the best way to deal with the gold core of the opponent, so it is impossible for Qin Zhengliu to attack them at will. Hua Kai slowly recovered his true chi. At this time, a team of people appeared from the south. There were about 100 people. Everyone was a BMW under the crotch. Hua Kai just glanced at it and knew that most of them were foundation building environment. The worst remaining is the late stage of Shantian environment. Among them, there are about 30 people in the foundation building of Qin Kingdom. The number of people in the foundation building of Zhao, Wei, and South Korea has exceeded 50. There are also a few foundation buildings belonging to the Qi family. Qin Zheng is the core of the battle. All the power is taken out. Hua Mo and Shui Chen came to Hua Kai's side, and Hua Kai signaled the other party not to worry. Qin Zheng brings so many masters, even if China is slightly superior, but Hua Kai cannot entangle Qin Zheng, then China will be defeated. You give these 2 spirit pills, Shui Chen, to Wukong quickly. Later, I will entangle Qin Zheng and let Wukong recover quickly and support him. You will kill each other as soon as possible. Protect Yu Jun. His role can be as good as 10 foundation building realms. Let the Undead Legion stand up to the opponent's attack, and all foundation building realms and soldiers will attack the opponent together. Hua Kai finished talking to Hua Mo and Shui Chen, and left the dark killing knife to Hua Mo to let him give it to Wukong. Wukong has no weapons. Hua Kai has to find a spiritual soldier for Wukong to use as a weapon. After the explanation, Hua Kai watched Bai Qi and hundreds of people slowly approaching behind Qin Zheng on horseback. Qin Zheng saw the huge dragon and he had only left for 6 days. The dragon head had disappeared, so Long Dan, Long Shin, and Long the 3 most important things must be gone. He gathered all the high-level battles in the Qin kingdom. He must not go back empty-handed. He is determined to win the remaining dragon bodies. If Hua Kai does not know each other, today China will definitely be broken. When Hua Kai saw the opponent's posture, he knew that it was necessary to go through a fierce battle. The battle between Qin and China was indispensable, so he gathered all the foundation building environments that could be invited from the beginning of the transportation of the dragon's corpse. Today's world war is bound to determine the general trend of the world. When Qin Zheng came for the first time, the foundation building of China did not take any action. Therefore, the foundation building of China is now hidden among the soldiers. The Qin must not know that the foundation building of China is more than they are. It is an opportunity for China. Seeing this place, Hua Kai slowly got up and flew into the sky. Qin Zheng hurriedly greeted him when he saw it. He was also afraid that Wakai would begin to massacre the Qin State Foundation building. King Qin, are you about to start a decisive battle? The foundation building of Qin State is not far away from here for more than 6,000 miles. King Qin knows that whether he wins or loses today, Qin will bully the weak under the world and plunder the reputation of other countries' spoils. Wakai looked at Qin Zheng and continued. This dragon is very important to Qin. As long as you give me the dragon pill, dragon heart, and dragon horn, I don't need the others. Qin will never take the initiative to attack China in the future. This king didn't want to kill you. If you insist on opposing this king, then you can't blame others. Qin Zheng said coldly. If you don't give things to you, it's against you. Does King Qin feel that everything in this world belongs to you? That Kong Zisheng used his Analect's holy code world when King Qin was everywhere when he hurt the dragon. Wakai asked. No one in this world can stop this king, not even God. When this king rules the world and becomes the emperor, the whole world will be the king. Today is the battle with the king of China. Qin Zheng stood in the air. The overlord aura gathers in the heaven and the earth. It seems that it should be the ruler of the heaven and the earth. China has no reason to give up its own cupped hands. King Qin asked me whether I was going to fight or surrender. Don't listen to what the soldiers of China said. Wakai's voice sounded from the air, and the Chinese army launched a series of neat battles. War. 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 The sound of war continued for a long time. In that case, I hope that China will not regret the decision of the owner. In the end, who is the reverse practitioner of the times, we will see today. Qin Zheng said that a crystal divine armament appeared in his hand, and he mentioned Big Sha Dragon Sparrow directly killing Huakai. Come. Huakai holds the Genshin gun. Today is about the decisive battle. 5 Elements Mountain can only be used as a whole card. The battle is still martial skill, realm, willpower, mental energy. He is close to the 7th layer of Hanbing willpower blessing on Qin Zheng's body. Qin Zheng's speed suddenly slowed by half. Qin Zheng also knew that his dark will didn't work on Huakai, so he carried Great Summer Dragon Sparrow to kill him with the force of sweeping the world. Wakai did not have the strength to confront him head-on, and all other tricks were resolved. No big problem. Wakai also knows that now he must fight Qin Zheng head-on. Genshin gun kills Qin Zheng. Directly among them splitting gun martial skill is the strongest move. The two weapons collided together, and there was a strong roar. 88%. Chapter 500. Wakai and Qin Zheng confronted each other for the first time. He felt a soreness in his 2 arms. That was the reason for the excessive use of power. Qin Zheng's physique was much higher than him. But this is already very good. 6 days ago, Huakai used 5 Elements Mountain to confront Qin Zheng. With one move, he lost half of his combat power in pain, but now he is confident that he can carry Qin Zheng more than 20 moves. Wakai was cut back by Qin Zheng by more than 30 meters, and Qin Zheng also retreated 5 meters in a hurry. It was not that Wakai's attack had no effect on him. Qin Zheng also guessed that Wakai had taken the dragon heart to make the physique ascension, and this was the power to fight him. Seeing Wakai retreating quickly, he killed Wakai on his knees, not wanting to give Wakai a chance. Huakai's 6th floor power of will blessed Qin Zheng, and Qin Zheng tried his best to resist, but his reaction and speed were still severely affected. Huakai could rely on the reaction speed martial skill to suppress Qin Zheng. Qin Zheng felt Huakai every time he attacked. There was a possibility of serious injury to the owner, and he did not dare to be careless, and he fought with Wakai. On the ground, everyone in the Hua family saw that Wakai contained Qin Zheng, and they couldn't help but be happy. Among the 60,000 troops in China, the foundation building has nearly 100, and there is the strongest undead legion. Come on, they can't waste every minute Huakai fights for. In everyone's eyes, Qin's greatest threat is Qin Zheng. Seeing that Qin Zheng and Wakai had already fought together, the masters of Qin State quickly slew towards the Chinese army under the dragon. They brought nearly 100 Shantian realms to deal with these elites of China. The foundation building realm is at the forefront. All the foundation building borders and Shantian borders in China are cleaned up, and this army of 60,000 people can be killed easily. As long as they drive away these soldiers and King Qin comes over and divides the flood dragon into several sections with the Great Sha Dragon Sparrow, they will be able to pack the dragon's body into the space and take it away. A Qi State Foundation building is at the forefront. Their family has just joined the state of Qin, and they want to be able to perform today. Qin State has said that today's battle is rewarding, and their family may have the possibility of controlling Lindsay City. A heavy armored infantry formation in front of him blocked his way. The generals in front of this legion seemed not weak in the Qi State Foundation building. He was the first to rush up, entangle the other generals, and let others kill the soldiers. He didn't want to invite too much karma. Tang Lei saw the opponent rushing towards him stupidly, and the opponent's strength was at the junior level in the foundation building. He raised the scimitar to greet the opponent. When the two collided, the Qi State Foundation building was knocked into the air, and Tang Lei launched the undead suit. With extreme speed effect, true Qi suddenly surged after catching up with the opponent's whole body. The Qi State Foundation building realm also felt that he seemed to be in danger. He shouted for help, but before the words fell, Tang Lei's machete directly broke through his true Qi cover. His power of will has not been used. Tang Lei cut his throat together, and a foundation building realm fell like this. The snow in the sky began to fall even more, and Qin Guo fell to one person as soon as he took the shot, which everyone did not expect. The three foundation building realms saw Tang Lei pierce through all the defenses of the opponent at the last moment and took away the opponent's life, and together they besieged Tang Lei. Tang Lei relied on his equipment advantage, and from time to time he borrowed the advantage of the strength of 100 undead soldiers under his hand, and he was inextricably separated from the opponent's three killers. How could the undead corps see its boss being bullied so much? Today, there are 21 undead leaders of the Undead Legion. Among these 21, there are 4 in the foundation building realm. The other Shantian Zochans are fully capable of guarding against the ordinary foundation building realms. Several undead army leaders came and killed. One of the 3 was seriously injured, and the other 2 hurriedly retreated. The Qin State originally went to attack the Vermilion Bird Legion and the Zhao State Elite Cavalry Regiment and couldn't help but stop. They separated more than 30 foundation building realms and entered the Undead Legion to fight with them. The remaining more than 100 people entered the Legion. Many soldiers died under their attack, and the Vermilion Bird Legion and the Zhao Guojing Cavalry Regiment separated 40,000 people and began to encircle all of them. At all costs, more than 100 of their masters and elites were surrounded and wiped out. It's just that these Qin masters killed them in the Legion, and it feels wrong. Attention everyone, they have the foundation building realm. Bai Qi just killed 2 Vermilion Bird Corps in the Shantian realm. He was attacked by 2 foundation building realms. He used his spirit treasure to avoid enemy attacks and reminded the masters of Qin Guzhong. But how to use this reminder? Of course they know that China has a foundation building environment, but in such a large army of tens of thousands, they all think that they have encountered foundation building resistance, and they are still waiting. They think that they are absolutely dominant in high battles. It's just a matter of how much karma is occupied. Hua Mo saw that the most casualties of the Vermilion Bird Legion were actually in the Shantian realm. Their fear of karma was not as high as in the foundation building realm. A large number of soldiers were constantly dying in their hands, and the Qin Kingdom's foundation building realm chose to attack above the Shantian realm. Their strategy is not new. Yu Shusheng, you will shoot those Shantian realms first. Shui Chen, protect Yu Shusheng, and remember to hide back to the family secret realm space as soon as you encounter danger. I will deal with them all in the Shantian realm first. Hua Mo said to Yu Jun and Shui Chen that they were in the army and commanded the battle of the entire Chinese army. When Qin Kingdom sees the foundation building of China, he is entangled with the other side. When his own blood dragon guards attack and kill the elites of China. No one noticed that Yu Jun had released the ballista from the position of the dragon's hind paws. Hua Mo used Earth Escape to come under a blood dragon guard. The blood dragon guard was on the rise and suddenly felt that his body could not move. He was about to burn blood essence to get out of the confinement, but he felt that his body was being pierced by a long spear thrust, and his whole body slowly lost consciousness. He didn't even send the signal for help. Hua Mo killed one of the opponent's blood dragon guards, found the next target and escaped into the ground. The blood dragon guards on the 6th floor of his Earthwall were killed without even having a chance to react. Yu Jun also locked on a blood dragon guard, and the giant crossbow flew out to accurately hit the target. The blood dragon guard screamed and was stabbed to death by multiple soldiers. No one noticed that the giant crossbow was shot from the west of the dragon. Many foundation buildings in the Qin state have found something wrong. Let alone attack and kill the Shantian in China, almost everyone is constrained by the foundation building. Some people are even surrounded by the danger of being killed by 2 foundation buildings. They keep calling in the rescue. No one can come to help. Bai Qi stabs a foundation building of China with a sword. Patriarch Tai Fa brought 2 foundation buildings to kill him. Bai Qi tried his best to escape the entanglement of the other party. He has heard from many battlefields. Cries for help. most of Qin's masters did not have an advantage over a small country of China, and it was Qin Zheng who made the shot himself. Bai Qi took the initiative to reveal his flaws. Patriarch Tifa didn't notice that he was killing him. Bai Qi suddenly rose to the side and killed him in the foundation building realm. As long as he killed the opponent, he could gain the advantage. The Zongnu foundation building realm saw Bai Qi suddenly flashing behind him, knowing that he was not the opponent while condensing his whole body willpower to fight against the opponent's imprisonment, and at the same time retreating quickly while casting a true Qi cover all over his body. Bai Qi detonated his own defensive shield in front of Patriarch Tifa. His willpower was higher than Patriarch Tifa and the others. Patriarch Tifa was blown up with a dusty face. At the same time, Bai Qi activated his talent skills to teleport to another foundation building behind his sword. It turned into a white sail and flew towards the other side. Dozens of people in the foundation building of the Zongnu state were hit by this strike and fell from the sky. The foundation building was spitting out blood essence and apparently had been seriously injured. At this time, Bai Qi had just left the old force before the new force was born, and a strong crisis suddenly rose. Regardless of the fact that Bai Qi had just used his talents, he planned to teleport evasion again, but a sword ray had arrived on his back vest. The true Qi cover around Bai Qi's body was shattered by the way, and the teleportation evasion was interrupted. He could only raise his arms. Block. The flaming long sword pierced Bai Qi's arm and then pierced his right shoulder. A figure appeared in front of Bai Qi, and Bai Qi retreated. King Lu, you will also participate in the battle between Qin and China. Blood spilled from the corner of Bai Qi's mouth, his body fire will rolled over, and the blow that King Lu had just injured him severely. White martial spirit. Lu state never provokes Qin state, but it was also invaded by Qin state. Dare or dare not, Qin state may let me go to Lu state. Even Qin Zheng can't save you in today's battle. Lu Wang said to kill Shang Bai Qi. Bai Qi, as the head of the four great generals in the Central Plains, as the core figure of the Qin state, will be cut off as long as he dies here today. Both Bai Qi and King Lu are at the great perfection of the foundation building. The argument is that Bai Qi can outperform King Lu. Although Bai Qi possesses an offensive spiritual treasure, King Lu's treasure weapon is not bad at all. The two sides fought together and were killed in Bai Qi. Retreat steadily, although it is possible to die in battle. At this time, Qin Guzhong had to come to support it after seeing the foundation building. Suddenly, China had all the initiative. If this goes on, Qin will inevitably be defeated. The blood dragon guards of Qin Kingdom continue to die. The more morale of the soldiers of China, the stronger the morale of the soldiers. The more than 30 foundation buildings who originally attacked the Undead Legion not only did not gain absolute advantage, but were entangled by the Undead Legion and fought on the battlefield. There are more and more dead foundation building realms. No one chooses to blow himself up because this is not a battle of life and death, and they are surrounded by comrades in the chaos. Huakai and Qin Zheng fought more than 20 moves, and Qin Zheng's ultimate move became more and more fierce. After he fought with Qin Zheng again, he felt that the whole body of True Qi had started to run poorly. The best way at this time is to stop and rest, otherwise his body will become severely injured, and he is in danger of falling. However, Hua Kai knew that he could not escape into the family secret realm space. If this way, all the advantages gained by China below would disappear. Qin's masters have fallen by about 30%. As long as he persists for another 10 minutes, China may win. Qin Zheng also saw everything below. He didn't expect that China could gather so many masters, especially the Undead Legion. In just such a moment, Qin had already killed more than a dozen foundation building realms. He must solve China as soon as possible. Kai supports the main battlefield, otherwise Qin will lose more and more. Field, otherwise Qin will lose more and more. Field, otherwise Qin will lose more and more.